Isn't it like the average watch? Oh wait, we gotta start. But okay, we're starting. Going live. We're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gravity Max live stream. In today's episode, we are talking about the outer solar system, which we talked about the inner solar system in the last one, and I am joined by internet celebrity Yui Films. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I thank you for the intro. I really am an internet celebrity. That is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, just the amount of eyes on
And
me.
thank you so much for watching, everyone. This has been a fantastic stream.
I am also joined by Sebastian Molino. How are you doing today, good sir?
I'm doing good.
Cool. All right. So yeah, this is the last day of January, everyone. How does it feel?
Surprised I made
October.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everyone who thought 2021 would like
be
calm
better
down, it's always.
I would say it's better so far.
Diamond hands.
It's better.
Diamond hands. Yeah.
If you are a more cynical, like, oh, it's entertainment. You've got more entertainment in 2021.
It is pretty
I guess you could
entertaining.
say. But it's still pretty. It's pretty rough.
I don't know. I would say so far it's better. Like we've had definitely bad things, but I guess you can't compare it like 1 month.
The amount of
Oh my
rant
God.
I've gone on about the stock market is unparalleled.
Jeez. Did you buy?
Okay. Did you buy?
No.
To the moon.
Don't get me started. No, don't get me started. I actually will go for 25 minutes, and like I won't stop if you get me started.
Well,
okay.
What's your main point?
Yeah,
what are you trying to prove?
It's stupid. It's stupid.
Let's hear it.
People that are investing now are going to get stuck holding the bag. People that invest at the start will be able to sell for a profit.
Yeah.
Once people start selling, all the people buying in now are going to lose all their money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the over/under of it.
I feel like now is the time to actually short sell.
Yeah, but no, that's the thing. Everyone's
holding. Anyways,
yeah, do not take financial advice from the Gravity Max live stream. That's what I want to say. But also, like the fact that it has only been 31 days since I watched a house burn down, like 4 blocks away.
That was a really. Like that was
31.
Crazy.
That was only 31 days ago. It feels like that was a much longer time ago.
It was.
That's how crazy.
It was it was like one of the moments where I heard like genuine like shock in your voice, which I don't hear often.
Yeah, my family said the same about that. I generally do not get very emotional. Like I tend not to get too shaken up by things, but when I saw flames just leaping out like of the window, my house did not burn down. It was like everyone was fine. Everyone was fine, but like I came upstairs and I just
see you were really torn up about it.
Bad time to laugh. Bad time to laugh, Sebastian.
I glanced out the window and I just see flames leaping into the air and I'm just like, oh my God.
But everyone was okay, right?
But yeah, everyone was fine. Everyone was fine.
Yeah.
They're fine. Everyone got out of the house, and only one house burned down. Like it didn't get to the next houses, which is a concern that can happen because it's a pretty tight neighborhood. But yeah, everyone was fine. Even like the dog. Like nice. I think they had a dog, so their dog's okay too. Everyone's fine. But the fact that was only 1 month ago, it just. Like I am just completely bemused by that, because it feels like much longer ago, because January has been crazy. Anyway, let's just get right into this.
Get right into it. Hold on, we need to do the weekly check.
Yeah.
Is my cursor being captured?
Probably.
Yeah.
Most likely.
It is. It is.
Nothing bad ever happens to the Gravity Max live stream.
Oh my God.
All right. Anyways.
Anyway. Visit the Gravity Max website at gravitymaxmedia.com.
It doesn't grab your IP.
It exists.
It does not grab your IP.
Is that a thing that I don't even know what that?
Okay.
I like vaguely understand what that means, that it's a bad thing.
Gravity Max Media is a 100% state certified site.
Yes. Yeah, this is state certified. It should be gravitymaxmedia.gov. That is pending. We are, they said it'll take a few weeks.
We are starting our own government.
We are starting. Yes, exactly. Anyway, you can also follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon. Links in the description. I'll probably post there more.
That's
we have a Patreon. We've made like $150 off of it. You should probably.
We have made
Boys,
no
the
money
UE Films
off of it.
Patreon is coming soon.
Anyways, be sure to follow Sebastian on social media.
Oh yeah. Follow Sebastian on social media, Instagram and YouTube. 128 Seconds YouTube channel. He's got great videos that are 128 seconds long that explain topics in that amount of time, which are the brief equivalents to our longer live streams, which is great.
Yes.
Sebastian,
in the description.
Give me 128 minutes to talk about the stock market, and I'll let you post it. I can fill that time.
Well, the thing is, I am streaming tomorrow. I am doing a monthly stream now. It's supposed to be today, actually, but I had a conflict, so it's going to be tomorrow, where I discuss the video topics I've covered in the month where it's in, and anything else that's gone on. So if you want to join me, we can talk about the stock market for a
genuine advice. You should make a 128 seconds on the stock market, because that's like
it's a pretty hot topic. Yeah,
I know, but any video with the GME and the titles getting views.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
I would watch those videos in live streams. Also, I want to mention my second channel, Govern Max. You can check that out. That is about the government, and I just did a stream on Friday for the month of January, which was surprisingly uneventful in terms of actual government action.
Oh God, $2 trillion stimulus plan.
That didn't pass this month.
Oh, fair.
I mean, maybe they proposed it. I think they did, but it did not. That was December.
All I know is that we talked about it in Gov this month, so I don't actually know when it was.
I think that was in December, the actual stimulus package with $2.3 trillion in it. And I started this channel in January. But it's ironic. I say this on the stream on my second channel, is that it was a very crazy month in terms of just political conflict, but in terms of the government actually doing stuff, it didn't actually do that much. Except for Joe Biden, who did quite a bit. He really tired me out with those executive orders. So that would be the government. Well, yes, but nothing from Congress.
No, I see what you mean.
Congress is just not doing anything. They're just not doing their jobs. Well, maybe their job is to not do anything. And then the Supreme Court is steady. They're sort of quiet. They like to stay out of the drama. But yeah, Biden signed 25 executive orders in the first 9 days, and I have read all of them, made them into videos, and it really has tired out. Yeah, except I cut some of them short. Some of them were too long. If it went over 8 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna keep talking. He did one on the climate that is a full book, honestly.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Lots of executive orders that I read. So you can check all of that out on my second channel, Govern Max. That's what it's called. It's got 25 executive order videos, 2 legislation videos, and 2 Supreme Court decision videos. But anyway, let's go to the next thing. A Bottled Up Flame, link in the description. That is my book, the sequel to the first one. If you like sci-fi, then you would like this book. And a third one is on the way. I got a lot of work done on it this weekend, actually. I'm pretty happy about. I haven't been able to work on it for the past 2 weeks, but because I've been very busy, the executive orders, all this different stuff. But I had on Saturday, I was just I'm in Zen mode. I slept until 1 p.m. somehow. I don't know how. I slept for 12 hours straight, and then I got up and I'm I'm just gonna work on my book all day. And then I did.
I've been thinking about writing an autobiography.
Yeah?
I think now's a good time in my life to do that.
You think now's a good time?
You've done it all.
You've done it all.
You're ready. Exactly. You're ready to see yourself
And with that being said,
yeah.
The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton.
I remember this book. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
Earlier.
I remember actively avoiding this book.
Dude, it's a bad book, and I will be the first to say it.
Yeah,
I don't know what cultural importance it has. I don't understand why it's required reading. I thought the ending was bad. There was one good character, and
which one?
I forget his name, but he was the cool one.
Was it Pony Boy?
No, it was like the guy.
Wait, that's what the Outsiders was?
Yeah, that was like
oh my god, that book was horrible.
And Darren, yeah.
I remember there was a character named Dallas and a character named Darren, and I'm like, these names are too similar.
Yeah,
for me
one of them, I think one of them was the cool one.
Dallas Austin.
Houston, yeah.
I have no idea. That could be someone's full name.
San Antonio.
But, anyway,
yeah,
that's not the point of this episode. The
Los
point is to make
Angeles.
fun of that title. We're making fun of that book because this episode we're talking about the actual outsiders, which are the outer planets and moons of the solar system.
Last time we talked about what's the title of the last episode?
The last one was Meet the Neighbors.
Meet the Neighbors, our next door neighbors, the people you live with. Yeah. I do not know my next door neighbors, but
I
don't either.
Yeah, but you might know
neither do
your people a little farther down the street. That's true for me,
maybe.
Because that's where Zach lives. But these are the people that you wouldn't really see unless you're going to a block party or unless you're real good friends with them. But they're still there. They're important. They're a crucial part of that community, and they might be doing things behind the scenes that you yourself are not aware of. So, without further ado, the outsiders of the solar system.
Fantastic intro.
As my pipes burst above and below me.
We do have chat before we start from Barry Rudin.
Nice.
Barry Rudin says, "Hi, gentlemen. Nice to hear Brendan from UE Films is joining Max and Sebastian tonight."
So she's heard of him.
Loving the special guest. And Barry Rudin says, "Haha, we are starting our own government. Funny, Sebastian."
Thanks.
You have gotten the official Funny Award.
Diamond Hands Award? Nah, I'm talking about the Funny Sebastian Award.
The Funny Sebastian Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Don't do that. Okay. All right, let's start. Jovian System. So today we are talking about...
I don't know if you heard my dad screaming from the heavens, but...
I did not.
Oh, no.
His soul...
Can I surmise that things are not going well on the whole situation?
Things are not going well on Rocket League. And no, it is not that situation, which...
not the other situation.
Tell Brendan about, because he might get a kick out of it after stream.
Yeah.
But the Jovian System... The biggest and the boldest. Now, we were talking about this earlier. Max brought up that Saturn could... the Saturnian System? I should know this is our own goddamn slide. But we that system might overtake the Jovian System in just a number of... moons are considered celestial bodies, right? So can you refer to that as celestial bodies?
I think so. I think.
Yeah, so in terms of celestial bodies, the Saturnian System is set to overtake the Jovian System because there are... I forgot how you explained it, but we just studied Saturn for a really long time, just pointed a telescope at it.
Yeah, so it's basically, right now, all of the moons of the different planets are just discovered from satellites on Earth. There is the occasional, Voyager or other ones that pass by, but they don't really get too much of the smaller ones because they are sent to study specifically one of the larger moons, so they don't just look around. And so one group of researchers just specifically focused one of the Earth-based telescopes on Saturn for a very long time, and they detected something like 20 moons. But they have not been confirmed yet by a second team, because that's the thing in science. You need reproducibility. An experiment needs to be able to be proven by different individuals. So we're waiting on confirmation of those 20 moons, but it's really just that they happened to choose Saturn over Jupiter. So honestly,
you wouldn't think it's that hard to find a moon. Like, well, it's decently
we're getting
large.
to the point, though. We're getting to the point where these moons are a few kilometers wide.
There's just like a big rock in space.
These are very small moons.
So yeah, the reason why I brought up that it was soon going to overtake is that Jupiter is famous for having an extreme amount of moons, and that's when I was learning about the solar system growing up, I always was like, Jupiter's got like. When I started learning about it, it had like 59 moons, and then a little later it had 63, and then it was like 67. So I think it's hovering around.
Yeah, I think it's at 71.
Yeah, 71.
They were at like 69 briefly, but then they were like, we got to discover a few more. We just can't leave it like that. So now it's at, I believe now it's at 71.
Diamond hands, it's gonna hit 420.
Diamond hands.
Take my word for it.
Eventually, well, it's interesting because it sort of is a question of what really counts as a moon, because the rings of the gas giants are made of particles that range in size from like dust particles to just large boulders. And we're getting to the point where, like, if a moon is 1 kilometer wide and the largest components of the ring systems are 10 to 50 meters wide, it's like, well, what is a moon and what isn't a moon? It's just stuff, really.
Everything is moons. It's like the everything is cake thing, but everything is a moon.
Yeah. Very insightful.
But
that was a horrible joke. That was such a bad joke.
Do you want to retry?
That was terrible.
I didn't want to comment on it. Just for your own sake, I was like,
we'll fix it in post. But anyways, the Jovian System.
Yeah, so the Jovian System, it's interesting. People refer to it as the mini solar system, because the Jovian System can be thought of as a solar system in its own right, with Jupiter at the center, and then you've got, 4 smaller planets and a ton of asteroids going around it. So it's pretty interesting. It is a massive system. It is just huge. I think it is actually about like an astronomical unit wide. Let me confirm that. Basically, it's something called the Hill sphere. Jupiter Hill sphere. The Hill sphere is the boundary between, something orbiting the planet and then something just orbiting the sun. So the Hill sphere of Jupiter extends 55 million kilometers around the planet, which is a lot. If we were to do km to AU.
So are we talking like that's circumference or like a radius?
Radius.
That's large.
So that is a radius of a third of an astronomical unit. So the distance from Jupiter to the edge of its Hill sphere is about the distance from the Sun to Mercury, which is pretty cool. So Jupiter, it's a big boy. It's a massive, it's a mad lad. It's absolute unit.
And here it is with its glasses on.
With its cool guy glasses. Look at that.
Yes.
Jupiter knows what a cool guy it is. So let's talk about Jupiter specifically. So Jupiter as a place to live isn't really ideal, I will say, because this is like for all the gas giants, but of course they are gas giants, so there's no solid surface. It's just atmosphere all the way down. But Jupiter in particular has the highest gravitational acceleration at the surface of, let's see, where is it? I'm on the Wikipedia page here. Surface gravity, 24.79 meters per second squared, which is 2.528 times Earth normal. That is really crazy. 2.5 times Earth normal. If you weigh, say, I weigh 125 pounds, right? That would be like 325 pounds, 15-ish pounds on Jupiter.
So I'd weigh like 600 pounds on Jupiter, is what we're talking here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd weigh like 12,000 pounds.
By my math,
exactly.
I would weigh 2 tons.
2 tons on Jupiter. But yeah, so Jupiter, it's just very, like, it's just crazy. I mean, think about your arm. Just lifting up an arm would be, like, difficult. And it can actually cause physiological problems. Too much gravity of your heart won't be able to continuously pump blood up to your head, right? That is just too much. It would be very difficult to stand up. All of these different physiological problems, like when it wouldn't be enough to say make you pass out immediately, like a fighter pilot that takes like 8 Gs or something, but the extended period of time under such intense gravitational pull would likely like severely stress your entire just body, your entire system. And I don't know, so that's the thing. We haven't done enough research on this to know, but there's a potential that you could train for it.
I feel like you might be able to train for like 1.5. But
yeah, well, exactly.
I feel like it would take a while to train for like.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. But it's just a guess, really. There's no, we have no way of knowing because we only have 2 data points right now. We have Earth gravity and just 0 gravity on the International Space Station, and that second point is like kind of scant for evidence, and it doesn't help us in this hypergravity situation where it's more. It doesn't really tell us what to expect. So, you know, it could even be the case that, say, like 1.1 Gs is too much for people. You know, anything is just a guess. You just have no idea, really. But yeah, so potentially people could train for it. But more likely is that people would have to reside on the moon or one of the moons of Jupiter or just in orbit of Jupiter, and any sort of operation on the ground, you know, in the atmosphere of Jupiter will have to be automated, automated or teleoperated. So that's a sort of interesting thing to think about, is that if you work on Jupiter, what your job might entail is you actually are in a space station orbiting Jupiter, and you put on your like Oculus Rift, right? And then all day you're just operating a robot that is down in the atmosphere of Jupiter that can handle the more intense gravitational field where, you know, you are up in space because you cannot handle it.
So Jupiter, like a lot of the other gas giants, there would be a lot of mining that occurs on Jupiter, primarily for its gas, because that gas can be used in a ton of other things, and because these things are like the
gases are there.
Yeah, so let me tell you, Jupiter has roughly the same composition as the Sun. So by volume, it is 89% hydrogen, 10% helium, 0.3% methane, 0.026% ammonia, 0.0028% hydrogen deuteride, which is, I guess, it's basically...
That sounds made up.
No, it's basically...
It sounds like something from the Big Lebowski. It's deuteride, man.
Okay, it's hydrogen, it's diatomic hydrogen, except one of the hydrogens is deuterium, which is a heavier isotope.
Did you just say snow day?
Mm-hmm.
It's a snow day?
Yeah.
I gotta yell at my dad. I told him so.
Oh, that is so nice. You guys get a snow day.
I mean, snow day count. Exactly. I made plans for like noon tomorrow. If it wasn't a snow day, I would have been really in deep trouble.
Yeah. Oh my god. But anyway, then there's some ethane, which is C2H6, and then
it's
of course
methane, but without the M.
Yeah, exactly. So then some water. So you've got, you know, hydrocarbons.
It's my favorite drink.
Ammonia and water. So you've got these nice volatiles here.
So all it takes is like one robot to be like lighting one up on their off shift, and this entire planet's just gone, just vanishes.
No.
All the moons just shoot off in all directions.
You see, hydrogen only burns when there's oxygen present, because that is, you know, fire triangle.
That's true.
Just
nothing burns in space, which is pretty convenient.
Just on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. Now
but
Jupiter,
dude, and I want to hear y'all's opinion on this. I think Jupiter is the coolest looking planet. I think it just looks like it was painted by Da Vinci. I like it. What do you guys think?
I mean, personally, I think Pluto's one of the coolest looking planets. It's just something about the color.
Not a planet.
I'm a big fan.
That's true. That's true.
Not a planet.
No. See, I think it's one of the coolest looking planets.
It's not a planet though.
Yeah, it is It is disqualified. Jupiter. I don't know. I feel like we might be biased because right now we're looking at it with some cool guy glasses.
Ooh, yeah. He's got charisma. He might be using his charisma on us.
Yeah, exactly.
He walks into the bar and you
cool
get in between Jupiter and your girl. You know. Let's move on.
Okay.
Your girl starts gravitating towards Jupiter.
Yeah, exactly.
This man can pull like no other. But
how much can you bench?
So Jupiter, in terms of mining operations, we would, if we figure out nuclear fusion, if we figure out how to make commercially viable nuclear fusion, hydrogen mining will be very prevalent on Jupiter to supply both the inner system with hydrogen for fusion, but also its nearby moons, because out at the orbit of Jupiter, sunlight is 4% as intense as it is on Earth, which is very dim. You know, it is very, dispersed. It is not going to get you a lot of energy. You would need a lot of solar panels to collect that. So it would be more efficient to use nuclear fusion if we have that technology at some point in the future, and luckily you have a very easy source of hydrogen right beneath you. And let's see. Alternatively, if we do not have nuclear fusion, you can always use power satellites that we discussed in last episode that would be closer to the sun and would beam energy to the outer system. But it would be much more convenient if nuclear fusion could be figured out. In my books, actually, the guy who figures out nuclear fusion becomes the world's first trillionaire, because that is how big of a technology I think it is. Nuclear fusion will be like the next industrial revolution. You know, it'll be a huge, massive development. So
it would have a bunch of long-term big no-nos that as the Industrial Revolution did. Like the Industrial Revolution kind of messed up the environment. Is there the possibility that because I don't know much about nuclear fusion, I'm not gonna lie, not really my territory. But if we just started nuclear fuselizing everywhere, what's the over/under on the bad things?
I think it's actually pretty safe. It's pretty safe because nuclear fusion does not create a runaway or reaction in the same way that nuclear fission does, because in nuclear fission, if it gets out of hand, then it's like the neutrons are all there and they start bouncing off each other. But hydrogen is a gas. So if there is something equivalent to a meltdown where the fusion core heats up too much, all that happens is that the gas just disperses. Whereas solid uranium it's a rock, so it just melts together. But also nuclear fusion and just nuclear fission, literally anything other than fossil fuels would obviously not contribute to climate change as much, but that's a big thing for nuclear fusion, is that it would provide so much energy that it could make a quick switch from fossil fuels to nuclear fusion. But yeah, in terms of that, I hope it gets out, because the thing with
when's that DLC? When do you think
when's that DLC
is gonna get released?
Because people already give nuclear fission a bad rap for Chernobyl, and really the people that the concept that deserves a bad rap for Chernobyl is communism, not nuclear fission, right? That was a mismanaged Soviet project. Whereas nuclear fission, when handled responsibly, is incredibly safe, much safer than fossil fuels. It's just the occasional like disaster from a nuclear fission plant isn't as visible as just the sort of like lingering effects, say like rising sea levels or more extreme weather that people don't automatically link to climate change. It's like you're like 100 times more likely to die in a car crash than in an airplane crash, but so many more people are afraid of flying than they are of driving. I feel like
you're in essentially a very large can of beans moving at 600 miles an hour in the air.
Bean.
Yeah.
Let's
I don't think it's
that
crazy.
Yeah, but your chances of dying from a plane accident are so much lower. Passenger planes, I will say. When it comes to small crafts, those can be particularly dangerous. But you know.
But yeah, so Jupiter was always my favorite planet when I was growing up as a young lad.
It's got acne. I'm not trying to like make fun of it or anything, but
that is the great red spot, which is a storm.
Sniper, get down! Am I right?
You're really just not hitting your marks today.
Yeah.
You got
look,
2 strikes, dude.
I already streamed for 4 hours today. Ooh. I'm running a little low.
Okay.
I'm sure you were streaming some incredibly high energy, intense game. What were you streaming, Brendan?
I was streaming Minecraft, but I was being very energetic.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Jupiter. That's Jupiter.
Yeah, but yeah, so the Great Red Spot for Jupiter would present an interesting challenge because like all of these gas giants actually have very intense weather, and that might cause a problem for mining operations. You might have to sort of avoid that, be wary of the weather. Like these are mega hurricanes, like the size of 3 Earths, a hurricane that big, like that is crazy. But another thing about Jupiter and the other gas giants is that they have like very quick day lengths, like half the length of an Earth day. So these are just very intense objects. There's a lot of mass and a lot of energy involved in these systems, but hopefully they could be used for some mining operations. And in terms of like infrastructure, I'm guessing that's it for the near future, but once it gets into longer term, it's really just sort of a gradual process, sort of like a Dyson swarm around the sun would be just slowly adding solar collectors. For Jupiter, you could see more and more mining operations being put into place and just more and more nuclear fusion plants being put into place until just the whole sort of planet is encapsulated in industry. But yeah, I would say that's it for Jupiter, unless you guys have anything else to say.
I already got 2 strikes on this one. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Io. I would say coolest one. Coolest out of the
It
4.
looks like moldy cheese. It does look like it's moldy.
There's a very good reason for that, though.
And what is that? Enlighten me.
It is made of just pure volcanoes. Volcanoes as far as the eye can see. And they are just constantly going. Basically. Like
Hawaii, but big.
Hawaii, but round.
Listen to this. Composition by volume, okay, of the atmosphere is 90% sulfur dioxide.
Oh.
That's gotta smell like roses.
Yeah, exactly. And then what else? Let's see. Where is composition for the whole thing? Composition. I don't know. We'll circle back to that. But interesting things about Io is that it has roughly lunar gravity at 0.183 g, so it's actually a bit heavier than the moon in terms of like how you would feel, except it's again, that's incredibly light. 0.183 g. Let me give you guys my comparison again. So I weigh 125 pounds, and on Io I would weigh 22.8 pounds. So it's a very light world, very bouncy, right? You can bounce around and stuff.
So I'd weigh 180 pounds.
Wow.
Okay. And so surface temperature is pretty cold. It's in the outer system, it's pretty cold, but it is hotter than the other moons, and that is because of all the volcanism. Exactly. So this place is just, there's sulfur everywhere
and
volcanoes everywhere.
Reminds me of my mother-in-law. But you know, you gotta love it. You gotta love Io, because it's first of all, very easy name to remember. 2 letters.
Yeah, exactly. 2 letters.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot. If I had to live on a moon and they would provide me with a gas mask, so I wouldn't be breathing in just straight raw eggs 24/7.
And maybe one of those like Christmas tree car air fresheners,
something like that. I think, you know, it could be Io. But there's another star. That isn't a star, it's a moon, but a star of the show that is coming up later. But I like Io. Always liked it.
Definitely. Well, so Io is interesting, and the reason for its volcanism is that it orbits very close to Jupiter, so tidal forces are just tearing it apart. It is not very happy. There is not a lot of water there, so it would not be a good source of water. But it's got, you know, sulfur and silicon would be its main sort of export. So it's pretty rocky. And in terms of colonizing it, I'm not sure, like, the extent to which you would want to colonize the surface of Io, because it is a very active surface. But there might be ways to mitigate that. I don't know. I mean, there, you know,
Max, you could farm sulfur.
What?
You could farm sulfur, though.
You could farm sulfur. So
it's a cash crop.
Cash crop.
I know. Let me tell you, I know a lot of guys on Union Square that would do anything for just a gram of sulfur. For a mole of sulfur, let me tell you.
1 mole of sulfur. Yeah.
I just got an email response back from our chem teacher, and all he says is groovy. He did not capitalize the G.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Oh, let me check. I also emailed him. Let me check it. I didn't. Mine wasn't nearly as substance filled as yours.
I'm known to be filled with substances.
Maybe that's why he only responded to yours.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Io, because of its volcanism, would actually be a very good mining operation, because you don't have to dig too deep to get to its center, because its center is constantly exiting the surface, right? So you can just sort of like, oh look, there's metals.
There it is.
Should be in the core, just on the floor. That's like very, very convenient. But yeah, so I imagine this would be a sort of.
I'm a big fan. I really am.
Yeah.
I've been repping Io's set, and that's just a good artist name. Like band name, maybe not, but solo artist, just Io. That's a cool artist.
Io Films.
That's fair.
Io you want to become Io Films?
We're rebranding
to Io Films.
All right.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so then when it comes to colonization, it would just be pretty standard, I guess, compared to everywhere else. It doesn't have much of an atmosphere, and what it does have is, you know, sulfur. So you'd have to sort of just dome over different places and have internal habitats. Not much hope of terraformation, I would say. But yeah, so just mining, possible colonization, but you got to be careful so that you don't accidentally just step in boiling hot magma that just might happen to be on the surface at any given time. That's Io. Hell world. To be honest, it's.
Nice.
I love that is the scientific term. Hell world.
Yeah, hell world. It's like Venus. It's like Venus, except worse. But yeah, so next
on to Europa, the next star of the show. Europa.
Oh yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of chatter about Europa. Now that could be a band name, even though I know Europa is a band. But this was big, and I remember this being big when I, was learning about the solar system, because scientists think that this has water, that this has a ridiculous amount of water under its surface. And
is this the ice one?
There's a
lot of
there's
ice.
A few of those. Okay, well, is this the one that has that's just
you might be thinking of Enceladus, but
sure.
You mean enchiladas?
Enchiladas, yeah. But Europa is pretty special because it is likely that it has just like a subsurface ocean.
Yeah.
That could be
okay.
hundreds
So
of miles deep.
exactly. Hear me out. A couple of years ago, there's this big craze. Everyone was like, "Don't drink tap water. I'm too good for tap water. I want that Fiji. I want that Aquafina.
Yeah.
I want that Evian. I want other brands that I shouldn't be throwing out, but they want
Evian?
Yeah, that's a water thing. See, my dog is agreeing. Is it Evian?
You mean Evian? Remember when everyone thought they're so cool because they're like, "Yo, it's naive spelled backwards."
Oh yeah, look at that.
Anyways, my point. Listen, everyone's freaking out about mineral water. That mineral water is from some lake in Canada that they just went and just bottled it. I'm talking about Europa. It has been, the water has been marinating for millions of years.
That's such a gross word.
Under hundreds of miles of minerals. You take one sip.
Marinating water.
You take one sip of that, and you immediately receive
Become Iron Man
and cure every disease.
Receive and cure. Yeah, so it's
vitamins A
through
through Z is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Europa may have its ocean may contain twice as much water as all of Earth's oceans.
Dude, I'm so thirsty. I want that water.
Yeah,
I need a drink.
I kind of want that water too now. I
yeah,
don't know why.
Come on. Marinating under hundreds of miles of...
This isn't good. You're giving me a desire for something that, I can't really get in the foreseeable future, right?
Use this to inspire you. Use this to
dreaming
inspire you to go to the stars, to solve nuclear fusion, and you will become the world's first trillionaire. You use that money, build yourself a big ass ship, go straight to Europa, come out there with nothing but a drill and a straw, and you can go down there and you make it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna sip this shit."
Every major body
you immediately collapse.
I want to drink water from every major body in the solar system.
You collapse because it
might be hard to get some water from Venus.
I mean, at that point, you've peaked.
You've peaked. Yeah.
With the Q.
But no, so Earth's oceans on average are maybe 2 or 3 miles deep, like paltry.
Weak, lame.
Exactly.
Weak.
And you can't drink it.
Europa.
What a joke.
Europa has oceans that are hundreds of miles deep. So even though it is a much smaller astronomical body, it actually has much more water. So Europa and a ton of the other moons that we are going to discuss can be very major sources of water for the inner solar system, the outer solar system, colonies everywhere. These are like the bread baskets or the water buckets of the solar system. These are the sources, these are the life bringers of the solar system. They are very nice places.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Life on
yeah, exactly. Because
that's another thing.
As soon as scientists were like, "Hey, there might be some of that goody slurpy Aquafina on this planet," people were like, "But science isn't goody slurpy Aquafina what made life on Earth?" And they're like, "Never talk to me again." But yes.
Yeah, there might be life there. I personally hope there isn't.
Yeah, you and your anti-aliens.
Because then they'll be territorial over the mineral water. They won't let us have
it. It would be like microscopic. Ooh.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
It could be like stupid microscopic prokaryotes, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as they're discovered there, you're gonna have those environmentalists being like, "Oh, we gotta leave Europa. We can't do stuff with Europa," and then no one has water in the whole solar system.
No, I just got a thought. I just got a thought in my head. One of the first times that's ever happened. I was thinking, my whole thing. So we've covered this a lot in the last season, but I don't like the ocean. So
you don't like the ocean.
I don't like the ocean because there's space for creatures to get big. And if you're sitting here and you're telling me that there is, it's twice the amount of water in all of Earth, just in there, then I would stand to reason that there is at least one.
That's where the megalodons are hiding.
MF. Yeah, that's where they're at.
Possibly.
Dude, that would be horrifying. Like you get down. You're no. Picture it. You're going down. We just drill. We're all sitting there with our straws, the last remaining plastic straws, and we're just going down the elevator that we set up, and we're going down, and we're going down, and just we get to like 50 like meters before before we get down to it, and we just hear like a growl or like some goddamn mating call of like a humpback whale, and we're like, time to go back up. We are out. Thank you so much for coming.
You started hearing the Jaws music,
dude.
Well, thankfully, there isn't enough energy. There's only 4% as much sunlight, right? And
that's what you think. That's what you
10
think.
kilometers of ice.
That just means that now we have a massive sea monster that can survive on 4% sunlight.
Yeah, so the only energy in this system would be hydrothermal.
Do fish photosynthesize? I didn't think so.
Plankton does. Right, and then fish eat the plankton.
Plankton eats
bigger fish eat those fish.
Hey, crabs!
Happens, okay. But the point is, right, is that Europa has hydrothermal vents. So Europa, similar to Io, Europa is getting torn apart by tidal forces, just not as intensely as Io. That is what provides Europa with its energy for liquid water. So,
Among
isn't
Us
that fascinating?
moment.
Among Us, the events.
But yeah, but actually though, it's nice is that Europa's surface.
It's not good.
Europa's surface is pretty homogeneous. It's just ice, so we could set up a lot of colonies there. So you'd probably see a lot of colonies just inhabiting the place because it's a pretty nice place to set up camp. You still need a dome over tents and stuff because there isn't much atmosphere, but it's got liquid water would be the main export, and people can just vibe there. Wouldn't that be nice? They can use hydrogen.
Sucking up that water.
Yeah, exactly. They can use the hydrogen.
Sebastian is going to be a large enough consumer that he will have his own part on the graph.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm going to be responsible for 3% of Europa's economy. Single-handed.
Water exports to Sebastian, 3%.
Oh my god, it's like the nuclear stockpile graph, which is like United States, Russia, Iran, Jeff.
Jeff. But yeah, what else about Europa? It's just a nice place. It's a very nice.
It's gotta be cold. 4% sunlight. That is a cold drink of water.
It is
cold. It's not worse than New York in like December. I guarantee it.
Or Chicago any given day.
Any given day.
Did you know there's people that prefer? Did you know there's people that prefer room temperature water?
They can leave, right?
That's the thing. I didn't know.
That's not a thing.
It's actually a large amount of people. This is like this is a big amount of the population prefers room temperature water.
Just define big. Like, are we talking like...
I found out about this. I was with a group of like 10 people. Asked them, like 4 of them were like, yeah, I like room temperature water.
What? Where were you?
Well, okay. You see, this is
what convention were you at?
It could be misleading. It could be... What exactly did you ask them? Did you ask them,
I asked them, do you prefer cold or room temperature water?
Oh, he just point blanked
that is weird. That is really weird. I will say that is weird. But listen, Sebastian.
They're just wrong. They deserve to be put down, euthanized.
Imagine this. No comment. Imagine this. It's 3 a.m. You are 10 miles under the surface of Europa, and you take a sip of some nice, cold, glacier-chilled European water. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be nice.
It would be pretty nice.
And 40% of the population would bring a microwave down there and microwave the water before they drink
Your
it.
polling size is 10 people, okay? And you've got a selection bias.
I'll make a
because the
Twitter
people
poll.
that
I'll
would
do a
be,
Twitter poll. I'll
interacting
do a
with
Twitter
you
poll.
aren't necessarily like the general population. Anyway,
but that is
yeah,
that
put
is
it to a
Europa.
poll. Leave in the chat. Do you prefer room temperature or ice cold, refreshing water? Okay, but that's it for Europa, I think.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Ganymede.
Ganymede.
This is the biggest one, right?
It is the biggest one, and it is in fact larger than Mercury.
Lamau.
So, Mercury is a scrub. Mercury does not deserve to be a planet.
Mercury is really just the butt of every joke on this on this season.
Yep, which is why in the last episode I made the case for disassembling Mercury. I fully believe it should be disassembled.
And adding its mass to Pluto.
No, for the sake of.
You know what? I'll be in favor of that. Because the thing is,
that is a waste. That is waste.
You're a waste. Let me tell you something. Yes, it was a brighter future.
You would cover up the heart structure on its surface.
So?
That's true.
The whole point.
That's the whole point
of Pluto.
Of that celestial body.
Is that it looks like a heart. That's the whole point.
I thought it was to...
It would be cool to build like a vault there, you know? Because it was just
a seed vault.
Because the thing is, yes. But the thing is that I hate when people touch my stuff. Like, my, stuff that I just have in my room. When people try to, be like, hey, you should put your stuff over here. I'm like, you should leave my home, you know? So it's my number one pet peeve. And there he goes. But it's my number one pet peeve.
Oh my god, he just disassembled.
He got disassembled?
Oh, did I just...
He got disassembled.
Uh-oh, here. Should I wipe it off?
Yeah, he did it. It works. Yeah, we found that out last stream, Brendan. He did this a couple of times.
That actually, that does make sense, actually.
A little bit.
It's like some weird video compression thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happening.
It gets in some sort of feedback loop because there's a bunch of similar pixels. So then if you just change the pixel feed.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is that I don't like when people move my stuff around, any of that.
If you didn't have 27,000 seltzer cans.
Oh.
Okay, I have maybe 8. So let's calm down.
Okay.
That's respectable.
Yeah.
But
you want to be a content creator if you had at least 6.
Yeah. I would throw my stuff over on Pluto where no one would touch it.
Including yourself.
Including me. Sometimes I even get pissed off when I'm touching my own junk, my own stuff around my room. I'm like, hey, why did I feel the need to move that cup? Come on, man. And then I check myself in for a psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah, exactly. So...
Yeah, what the hell are we talking about? Ganymede?
So Ganymede is the largest...
Planets.
Ganymede is about 50% water ice and 50% rock. So another major source of water. It also may have a similar sort of subsurface ocean as Europa, but that is not, it's not as likely on Ganymede, but it's got rock, it's got water, it's the perfect place. All these places, the perfect place. I'm just gonna be saying that every time.
Is it mineral water?
Probably, because it's mixed in with all that rock. But
I'm gonna sip that shit.
But another interesting thing about these outer worlds is that they are largely composed, and as you go out, they are more and more composed of ices, which means that you have to worry about literally melting into the ground.
Dangerous.
They worry about this in Antarctica. They have to make sure that they don't accidentally, literally melt into the ice, because that is something that can happen. So you got to be wary of that. Yeah, so Ganymede, I would say, of everything we are going to discuss today, has the highest potential of some sort of terraformation, but it's very, very scant. It's very scant. It would be incredibly difficult. You'd have to add a lot of energy to the situation. But if you did that, remember, the planet is largely
Replace the ocean with 5-hour energies.
The planet is largely composed of ice, right? So you risk just melting
5-hour energies.
But you could potentially give it an atmosphere and then maybe heat it up to like Antarctica temperatures, you know, something really cold but like survivable. There's a chance, right? And again, just use hydrogen fusion and that sort of thing. That might be pretty useful out here. Also, Ganymede, Europa, and Io are in a sort of orbital resonance. So Ganymede orbits once, Europa orbits twice, and Io orbits 4 times in the same period of time. And since these moons are all tidally locked to Jupiter, that means their day lengths are, you know, 1, 2, and 4 times as long as each other, which is interesting in terms of local calendar systems, like what might spring up there. We'll talk about that more in the future. But yeah, these worlds, these Galilean moons, are probably going to be very tightly interwoven into a sort of economy or federation, because again, the Jovian system is like a miniature solar system. So these places will have very close economic and cultural ties. So it'll be pretty cool. It'll be a pretty cool place to be. You know, fast, like relatively quick travel around this system compared to the rest of the solar system. It's like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison.
If we get, sorry, this is kind of unrelated, but if we get there first, we can make the government.
Like the 3 of us, you mean?
Yeah.
Dude, you want to do that?
We were talking about this earlier.
Okay. So
I'll be the prime minister.
One person has to take Io, one person has to take Europa, and one person has to take Ganymede.
I got dibs on Europa. I'm sorry, it had to be said. I don't want the moldy planet.
I want
moldy
Ganymede.
Planet, huh? Well, sir,
you can have Io.
You are unaware that planet is prime real estate, the likes of which have not
going to get rich on selling like sulfur to warring armies.
Okay, right? I have mineral water. Have fun.
Hey, we'll be trade partners. I give you sulfur, you give me that Aquafina.
But then the question is, who's going to manage Callisto?
Fuck,
bless you.
Callisto. That's our one F-bomb per stream.
But oh yeah, exactly.
Wait, what?
You're allowed one F-bomb per stream because it's about the length of a feature-length film, and so if we want to be PG-13, we are allowed
Wait, but when did you curse?
Right then. I said F, Callisto.
Anyway.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Anyway, listen. So Ganymede, pretty cool place. You could get some orbital infrastructure for all of these. You're going to have orbital infrastructure for all of these. I didn't really talk about that. But also something interesting is that all of these moons might be optimal for building space elevators because you could probably use, you know, Kevlar. Modern materials would be strong enough to handle the strain because there's lower gravity here. And yeah, it'll just be a cool place to be. You can also use mass drivers, like the space trains we talked about, where you just accelerate something down a track and then it just whizzes off the planet at escape velocity because no atmosphere and you've got a low escape velocity. So
you use that in your book, don't you?
I do use that in my book.
Yeah, that's what the Father does.
Yeah, exactly. They do that on Earth a little bit. It works very well on Earth's moon, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, so you could do that here as well. That's a sort of universal thing that you can do. But yeah, Ganymede would probably be the population center just because it's the largest one. You know, the most people would probably live there. I imagine Ganymede and Europa would be the two big.
Well, depending on who's running it, I think Io could be a very hot tourist destination.
Yeah.
You know when you wear a mask. You know when you're wearing a mask and like your breath starts to stink and like you smell it perpetually. Imagine that, but you can't take off the mask.
Oh, well, imagine, with by John Lennon.
Everywhere.
Imagine, if you will, that your entire planet's #1 resource is buried 100 miles beneath the surface of the planet.
It would only be 10 miles, but also, and you can use
I don't need flak. I don't need
But
your
listen
flag.
to this, listen to
We
this.
You're
literally get
stupid.
skating rinks. We get to skate
Listen to this,
all
okay?
year long.
I
Yeah,
get to do
Ganymede-
stuff with volcanoes.
You get
Okay,
to die.
Ganymede.
I
Ganymede,
don't
I
yet
would
know
liken
what that
to,
would
like,
be,
Okay,
but I
Ganymede.
get to do
I would
it.
liken to Ganymede. I would liken it to Los Angeles, Europa to New York
Oh, I
City,
hate it. Oh,
and
God.
Io to Chicago.
Oh god damn! Kill yourself. Are you kidding me?
You don't like Chicago, do you?
Don't like Chicago.
He does not like Chicago.
If anyone's watching us in Chicago, leave.
Don't do that.
I don't like deep dish pizza. I think
doesn't like
the
deep dish
rivers are nasty. It's cold. No one cares about the bean. Your museums are shoddy. Your building
Okay.
infrastructure
Iowa's
and
very
architecture
industrial.
shoddy. You have Kanye West and Obama. I'll give you that. But without those two dudes,
Oh boy.
your city is nothing but an ice box.
Okay. And so modern
I
Chicago
dare you.
is
I
different.
dare you to
but I would
compare
say
Chicago
sort
and
of
Io
earlier
again.
Earlier
getting
Chicago
emails
was
from
very
Northwestern.
industrial.
I
Earlier
thought-
Chicago
I'm
was
not
very
going to
industrial.
Northwestern. I crossed Northwestern is on my blacklist. Literally because it's in Chicago. I'm being dead
You're
serious.
putting that out
I
there.
know,
You're
it's
still
so
okay.
cold.
I'm throwing it out there. I'm not going to Northwestern.
You're not going to North.
I'm
okay.
not living in Chicago. Never.
not living-
My
okay.
parents were like, "Oh, after we retire, we might go over to Chicago." I'm like, "Oh, that's a fantastic way for me to never visit you." Like, I hope you have
Jesus.
fun,
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm not going to Chicago.
Okay. We can talk about this later.
We can talk about it now.
What I mean, though, is that Io would be a very industrial world. Same with Jupiter. Jupiter and Io would be focused on industry, and Jupiter might be uninhabitable to people because of its gravity. Io might be a place where you've got local Io industry for mining and also teleoperation for Jupiter, like people on Io with their Oculus Rifts just being like, I am controlling the worker robots on Jupiter right now. That's what you could get on Io, but not many people, I think, would want to live.
Europa too,
But the farther away you get from Jupiter, you begin to introduce light lag, which is pretty annoying. So, for instance,
gamers
light
have
lag-
been dealing
here
with
we go.
lag for
Io.
centuries. We
Okay.
can
Yeah,
deal
it's like
with it.
lag. It's like the ping. Like, you don't want to blame it. You'll just constantly be blaming things on the lag. Okay, listen. Mean orbital radius, 421,700 kilometers. And let's convert that to light seconds. km to light seconds. All right. Well, so Io,
my Twitter poll of room temperature versus ice cold has 2 votes, and it is currently 50-50.
Oh, okay. But listen. So when you are on Io, teleoperating a robot on
Yes.
Jupiter,
Yes.
when you hit B, right?
Yes.
1.4 seconds later, the action is registered on Jupiter. And then another 1.4 seconds later, you recognize that it has been registered on Jupiter. So that is the light lag. For Io, that is already pretty bad in, like, if you were playing a video game. But hopefully, Jupiter would have more slow industrial processes that wouldn't really require quick timing. But the farther you get out, the more inconvenient that is going to be. If you are on Ganymede, for instance, the distance that Ganymede is from Jupiter, if you were to try teleoperating something on Jupiter, you would have a light lag of 3.5 seconds. So this just gets worse as you go out. But yeah, not many people would want to live on Jupiter because of the gravity. Maybe no one could even live on Jupiter. And not many people would really want to live on Io, I imagine, because it's just very sulfurous
You're
and
funny.
industrial.
He's so
Europa
funny.
and Ganymede are more ideal.
Dude, you need to start a channel called Comedy Max because you're telling
Okay.
straight
Yeah,
jokes.
You're only defending Io because we thrust the position of leader of
Yes,
Io upon
it's what I forget what that thing is.
you. Here, do you want to be leader of Ganymede? I'll be leader of Io.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What do
Imagine
you think about Io then?
ruling
Yeah,
some
exactly.
sulfur
There you go.
dump
There you go. But
filled
guess
with
what?
nothing
Guess
but
what?
volcano.
Guess
What
what's
can
the
you
bad
do with
shit?
the volcano?
Guess what?
What?
I now get all the minerals and all the teleoperating industry. So.
Hey, Seb, we can cut him out.
All right, next we've got Callisto.
Cut him out. We can cut him out.
Next we've got Callisto. We've got Callisto.
Curse Kazat. What happens if you nuke Io?
What happens if you nuke Io? Curse Kazat.
Probably nothing.
Okay. Callisto. Let's talk about Callisto. It wouldn't change much. It's nuke resistant.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, look at Callisto. Look at him.
This looks like a YouTube outro.
A little bit. I get it.
It looks like it's...
Okay.
Why don't we have joint ownership of Callisto? Like it's our
or we can
child
give it to
of divorce. Oh yeah, or we give it to Michael.
Michael
Speaking of children of divorce.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Michael, I love you.
Anyway, Callisto has similar gravity. Again, these are all sort of lunar gravity area, 0.126 G. And it's the coldest one because it is farther out, so there's not as much tidal heating. Callisto's a bit of an oddball. I sort of feel bad for Callisto because it's not in the club. It's not in the 421 resonance club. It's got a timing of wave
19. Check or whatever we said.
Okay.
Cloud check. I forgot what it was.
What?
Fog check.
Fog check.
I wasn't here for this one.
When his camera goes
There we go.
all whack, we call it fog check.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, but why isn't Brendan's camera?
Because I'm just
Doing
built
that.
different.
He's
I got the Logitech
differently.
C70.
Okay.
I spent $15 on this camera.
All right. So, Callisto, what things does Callisto have in terms of composition? Okay, so Callisto has, again, equal parts rocky material and water ice, similar to Ganymede, but you've also got a ton of ammonia, which could be an export because a ton of inner system planets need nitrogen. Mars has a big nitrogen problem, so Callisto could be a big industry with Mars. They could be a big trade partner. Just exporting all that ammonia. But yeah. What else about Callisto? It also might have a subsurface ocean. Subsurface oceans are pretty common out here, but it would be under a lot thicker of a ice crust, so you would need to... So Europa has the most conveniently accessible water, ocean.
Slurp? Like the good?
Slurp, yes.
Are we talking is this good Aquafina smart water? Or is this like Dasani level? Like, are you going to take a sip of this and be like, wow, I'm more thirsty than I just was?
You see, I also feel like that about Dasani, and I think it's because...
so bad!
I think it's because...
Wait, whoa, I missed it. What's happening?
No one likes Dasani.
It
No
makes
one
you
likes
more
Dasani.
thirsty. You take a sip of
because-
Dasani,
That's
and you don't
facts.
go, I feel
Here's my theory. I posit that Dasani tastes horrible because we associate it with airports and school lunches.
There's a psychological aspect to it.
No,
I think it's psychological.
If you did a blind taste test, I would be able to identify the
That is true.
That is true, but that's also because it's a combination. These places we don't like them that much because there's a lot of sort of cutting corners around.
No,
these
you know
places,
what the
right?
best is?
No,
And
Dasani
Dasani-
No. We need, first of all, we need the tier list. This not on stream, but later.
No, someone already did that.
Yeah, this
well,
has been done.
okay. But you know what? You know what is the most refreshing, thirst quenching drink?
What?
Someone call me out if I'm lying. Tennis courts. They have that thing on the side that you put your thumb down and it dispenses water into the cone-shaped cup. And that is always ice cold.
God.
Tell me that isn't the most refreshing beverage on earth. I know it's not a beverage because it's water, but
Sometimes
the
it
most
isn't
refreshing
cool,
drink.
though.
Ooh.
When it's not
always
cold,
cold. No, it's
I want.
always.
I kind of beg to differ on that one.
I say
Max.
it's
Unless you get
50-50.
the barrel water at the bottom, because they forgot to refill it last night.
Barrel water. I hate drinking barrel water.
Barrel. Okay.
I'm thirsty. I'm gonna grab a drink. I'm gonna grab a
Dasani
drink.
is trash bag water. That's what it is.
Facts. That's facts.
Let's get back to business here, huh?
I'm gonna grab water. Should we change slides? Or
No.
we still
Stay
have
on
more
Callisto.
stuff?
Stay on
All
Callisto.
right.
So Callisto and the rest of the Galilean moons here are the most rocky of the outer world moons. So they'll have the most rock. But it's interesting because they are also closest to the inner system, which is where the largest demand for water is going to be. So these places are going to be very heavy economic centers. It'll be very interesting to be in the Jovian system in the future. There's going to be a lot of industry, a lot of coming and going, because you've got, again, all the rock that needs to be exported to the inner system. You've got also rock that needs to be exported to the outer system because the outer system doesn't have as much rock. And then you've got a lot of water that is going to need to be exported to the inner system. And while the outer system, and this is part of the outer system, but even more outer, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, while they have more water, like they are primarily composed of water, whereas the Jovian system is like 50-50 water and rock. The Jovian system is closer to the inner system, so it is more convenient as a source. So in the future, in the near future, once the Jovian system gets up and running, it is going to be a very busy place. And as we continue to venture out, as we get to farther out planets, it's going to sort of calm down a bit. These are going to be like the rural sections of the solar system, going to be peaceful and tranquil, but not the Jovian system.
Europa. Europa's
the Jovian
going to be
system,
a party. Europa's
the Jovian
be
system
a party
is
that
going to be
end.
just industry. I think the Jovian system and Mars are going to be the two big winners of like the next few centuries. Mars is going to be the hub and capital of the inner system, whereas Jupiter, the Jovian system, is the hub and capital of the outer system. They'll be in tight concert, transferring
sell your
stuff.
Nokia
It'll be
and
pretty cool.
buy stock in these planets.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I like Nokia stock though, because the Nokia phones are indestructible. So like that's an actually good product.
Are we talking about stock again?
Okay. Let's look up NOK. NOK.
I know. I'm just saying. Again, not financial advice, but like, I like Nokia phones. I've considered buying a Nokia phone.
I'll keep my iPhone.
Back to the future.
Yeah.
Head ass.
Anyway, we can go to the others now. We can go to the others. All right. Have you changed the slide?
Yes.
Allow us to introduce ourselves.
These look like rocks I could skip.
How many?
I could skip that one.
What's your top? What's your top skippage? What's the record?
21.
21.
Yeah.
21 skips.
Those are rookie numbers. You gotta pump those numbers up.
I think we've had this conversation.
I think
you could probably get a lot more skippage out on some of these moons because there's not as much gravity.
Ooh, the legendary 100 skips.
100 skips.
I saw.
But anyway, so right here, front and center, we've got Amalthea. It is the 5th largest moon of Jupiter, and then we've got some others. So again, Jupiter has like 60 some odd moons, 70, whatever.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. Moons are round. These are asteroids that happen to be in a circular orbit.
Would you say that to Phobos and Deimos?
Boom. You think?
Would you say that to Fear and Death?
Circle. You think
or
circle?
Fear and Dread.
You don't think.
Look, can you look up the definition of a moon?
I will look up the definition of moon.
I know the definition of a moon, but I don't agree with it.
I don't agree with it.
Look at this shapist guy.
Moon.
Hopping on our podcast saying real moons are round.
Listen.
Wow.
Oh, come on. This gives us a bad definition.
Where's the moon-shaped positivity movement?
Here's the definition of moon. The natural satellite of Earth, visible chiefly at night by reflected light from sun.
So
this is the worst
circle.
definition
That's the moon.
So the definition of a moon is a circle.
I'm going to the next one. That is just a bad definition. The little chiefly at night part.
Okay.
I hate that part. Okay, it's just as likely to show up in the day as at night. It's just easier to see at night. So they're like, chiefly at night. Shut up. That's a misconception.
Whoa, watch the language.
Damn,
anyway.
Gravity Max gonna gun him down.
Off the rails.
His anger.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm too upset now. I'm too upset to look up the definition of moon. Fine, I'm over it. Okay, so
dropping.
these moons.
Because you know you're wrong.
These moons are, well, Brendan, there was some truth to what you said. These are very similar to asteroids. So they are a convenient on-site source of metals, like asteroids are. So you don't have to trek out to the asteroid belt. You've got some right on hand. So for the largest ones, it might be interesting to hollow them out, you know, send their resources to the inner system, sell those resources, and then just rotate them. And then you've got like Amalthea in particular is super like cylindrical looking. So you could create a very nice O'Neill cylinder out of that, except it would be many times larger. It's like 256
What are you talking about? What have
wide.
Irish people ever had to do with space?
If you had watched earlier episodes of the Gravity Max live stream,
there's like a scientist named O'Neill who proposed a space habitat called an O'Neill cylinder.
I don't think Irish people have ever once believed science.
Wow. That is a strong position.
He's Irish, though, so he can say it.
Yeah.
He is Irish.
They don't believe in doctors. They don't believe in doctors. Like, they're sick and they're like, nah, I'm not going to the doctor. Okay, continue.
I'm not going to comment. Anyway. So yeah, these are just good sources of metals, again. So you can send those out to the inner system. And, you know, their gravity is just too low for any sort of meaningful habitation on the surface, but these would be prime candidates to turn into space habitats. So you could get a Jovian system filled, you know, dominated by the 4 Galilean moons, and then surrounded by a ton of, you know, spinning cylindrical habitats, and it's just an interesting place, a very dynamic place, a microcosm of the solar system at large. I think it'll be beautiful.
Brendan, do you want to declare war against Io?
Yeah.
You're going to declare war against Io.
Yeah.
You're under assault.
Let's cut him out of it. Let's cut him out of his.
You're declaring.
The one. Let's cut him out of the other one.
This is really funny though, because what does this even mean, right? I still stake my claim on Io. How are you going to vanquish it? How are you going to defeat me?
Destroying the planets.
We're gonna pour water on it.
What troops
These
do
are
I have?
empty threats here. These are empty threats.
I don't need firepower when I'm rocking these guns.
These are empty threats. You are 1,000 miles away. There is no way that you can threaten me. And I will continue to
check this out.
On
hey,
I will
Siri,
begin.
How far can a missile go?
I will actually.
I will now begin
10,000 kilometers.
saying Max's home address very slowly.
Fine. Do you even know it? I doubt it.
I know it. Are you kidding me? That's hurtful.
All right. Say the first digit.
So you're playing a dangerous game.
Ha! That is incorrect.
No, it's 1.
Patently obvious.
It's
what, were
1.
You gonna say? Were you gonna say 14 Rocky Field Road? I don't live there anymore.
No, not that. It's the place in which you live now.
Dangerous game.
Not a 1.
I thought it started with. I thought it was in the thousands.
Get out of here, dude. You are wrong. You cannot.
I thought it was like a 1,000 something.
Good for you. It's not.
Good for me.
So,
I think it
anyway.
is. I think he's long conning me.
It literally.
This is what you get from. This is what you get with people from Io.
Dead ass.
People from Io. Guess what? Guess what I do now? I claim all 4 Galilean moons. What are you gonna do about it?
Hey, kicker for the call. Kicker for the call.
My point here, though, my point is about just a brief discussion on, you know, outer space law, right? How can you make a defensible claim? That's sort of the point I'm trying to demonstrate here. There's no way, at least right now, to make a defensible claim to any part of space. However, that might change in the future as people begin to
this is bothering me. I want to look at his address. Because I was so
You
sure.
want to know my address?
No, I know what it is. I have it written down.
You have it written down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just send it to me. I want to send some things to him.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna get a lot of strange packages with the mailing
It would be really
address
weird.
written on in
Are you a
crayon.
fan of wolf urine?
No.
Do you have access
well, then
to
you may
wolf
want
urine?
to. Well, you may want to surrender the other planets.
Fine, you can have Io. I don't care.
No, I don't want Io.
Hey, come on.
You don't even. Io shall remain unclaimed. Okay, next slide. Here we go. Saturnian System.
Oh, okay. I found it.
You found it.
Yes.
Yeah, what is it in full?
I will not be saying it.
Okay, you have Io now, Sebastian. You win.
Yes.
You happy? There
Yes.
All right.
Hey, Max, let's team up and take him out.
Hey. and this is World War I.
This is World War I
in a
explained.
nutshell.
Yeah. Okay, so Saturnian System. Saturn. It's the one with the rings. It's a nice place. It's the second largest planet in the solar system after Jupiter, and it is pretty far out. So from the inner system to the outer system, there is a huge jump between Mars and Jupiter, but then each successive planet, there's another huge jump. These places are incredibly distant. So the Saturnian system, let me pull up the stats.
All you've just said is that they're far away from each other. Yeah, what do you mean by huge jump? Like
the distance keeps getting longer.
So Saturn is 10 astronomical units away from the sun, whereas Jupiter was, let's see, Jupiter was, it was 5 astronomical units away from the sun. So Saturn has doubled the distance. And for reference, Mars is about 2 astronomical units away from the sun, I believe.
Look, I'm a distance swimmer. I could do that in a couple hours.
You could be there in a couple hours?
Yeah.
You got a laugh from my dad. I don't know if you heard that.
For what?
For what? For what?
For your distance swimming. He happened to laugh.
Okay, okay.
No, I like the other reality.
Yeah.
I like the other reality. Anyway, yeah, so Jupiter was already a large jump out, but at least, you know, it's the closest one, and it's such a great source of materials that people will likely use it. But out here, out at Saturn, we are 10 astronomical units away. That's like a month for like flip and burn type of stuff. It'd take a while to get back to the inner system. So yeah, these places are going to be more isolated, and as I said, more rural areas, because it would take forever to exhaust Jupiter of its resources, but eventually, you know, they might, and so then you might want to come out to Saturn, and there will be likely some industry in the Saturnian system, just because, you know, some materials might be unique, some more niche materials, like, I don't know, say like Saturn has a lot of ethane instead of methane, right? Like, just, you might get some niche stuff like that. But for general, like, mass production,
you've heard of Spain without the S. Have you heard of methane without the M? Ethane.
Yeah.
Ethane.
But, let's see.
But so Saturn, go ahead.
Some industry like Jupiter, but it'll be a bit more isolated, a bit more chilled out, a bit, like, calmer.
So, habitability-wise, again... It's a gas planet. It's got some pretty nice rings made out of space dust, rocks, and possibly bones. But
I love that picture.
Habitability wise, you're not gonna live on it. You're gonna live on the moons.
Well, you might live on Saturn actually. At least like compared to Jupiter. So Jupiter had 2.5 times the gravity of Earth. So people likely couldn't.
But where do you stand?
Saturn.
Would it be like a cloud city type, Venus type thing?
Well, yeah. I mean, we can do it on Venus. We can do it on Saturn. Saturn has roughly the same surface gravity as the Earth does, 1.065 g. So it would be pretty nice, actually.
Maybe.
Cloud city type thing. I think that would be pretty cool. So.
Dude, no. What I'm looking forward to.
You can harvest.
What did you say? What did you say the gravity was?
1.065 g.
1.065.
So that's 10.44 meters a second square.
I really want something that's like 3/4 of Earth's gravity.
I know.
I will tell you.
That's actually a surprisingly like underserved niche. There is no 3/4.
I
I really like Mars.
I
gravity,
want the 3/4 gravity so I can
think,
be a Jedi Master. Because
Jedi
the only
Master.
way to do those whack-ass flips, but still land at like a decently reasonable time, is to have 3/4 gravity.
I like Mars. I must say, Mars is just nice.
Just big
like
Mars
40%.
fanboy over here.
Mars
Whenever
fanboy,
Mars is mentioned, whoop, there he is. Occupy Mars.
Yeah, exactly. Occupy Mars. Do it.
But I think
on another note, just briefly, they're occupying Wall Street again.
Are they?
Fair.
So
They're
just
there.
as Brendan was talking.
I saw a funny
there.
TikTok. It was
Except it's
like-
different people this time.
You know the song "It's Raining Men"?
Hallelujah.
It was just this
yes.
guy. He was like, "What? You're walking down Wall Street on Monday morning."
Oh no.
Oh,
Okay.
tough.
Oh,
That is tough and a little
Yeah,
esoteric.
A little esoteric.
Ooh.
Yeah, on Black Tuesday. So Saturn, right? Saturn has roughly Earth-like gravity, so you could
an
actually
awful
live
app.
there when you're harvesting all the hydrogen.
No.
But let's look at its composition, wherever that happens to be. Physical characteristics. Okay, so composition of its atmosphere, which I don't understand how that's different from just Saturn in general. It's pretty similar to Jupiter. It's just a lot of hydrogen and helium, then methane, ammonia, hydrogen deuteride that you guys don't think is real.
It's not. It's not.
Then you've also got ammonia, water, and ammonium hydrosulfide.
We have more chat from...
Okay. Is it if it's from Barry Rudin? We don't have to read that.
What?
Whoa!
We don't have
Damn!
to read
God.
We're already going pretty long. It's fine. People can read it. People can read it in the replay. People can.
No.
read it in the replay.
Harsh.
So
Fine, I'll read it.
Barry Rudin goes, haha, we are starting our own government. Funny Sebastian. The funny Sebastian, we already covered
Funny
that
Sebastian. Yeah, we have it.
one. I'm a fan of all three of yours and your channel. Three very smart, articulate, and interesting guys.
Thank you.
And then my personal favorite, lol hard stop. So funny.
Oh, he's got a funny
Can
Brendan.
we get a clap?
We've got a
in
funny
the
Brendan. We just need a funny Max, and we've rounded out the
I'm not gonna
stream.
get one.
I think you will.
It's
I
alright.
think you will. If
Alright,
like
Seb, you want to read the other chat from her?
I'm not looking.
Because there's more. There's more.
Okay, okay. Also, Max, this was the name of the book and movie I was looking for last night. Like, this is just a message to me. That's what I was saying. This is just like, just text me. I'm sorry, we don't, just text me. So, last night, when I said The Lost Boys, lol, it was The Outsiders, big 80s movie, Matt Dillon. I never even heard of the Jovian System before. What the heck were they teaching me in school in the 80s? Yeah, that's just the adjective form of the word Jupiter. But yeah, anyway. I appreciate the comments. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling me articulate.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me and Sebastian the funny award. I
Yeah.
mean, if that isn't...
We're just
It's true.
comedians.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys should do a stand-up comedy act.
We should do a podcast.
We should.
That would be horrifying.
It would be great. It would just
would
be
be
us
pretty
like
funny.
staring at each other, being like, "We can't make that joke." For like 2 hours straight.
Like a mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
Situation. But yeah, so Saturn is a resource for pretty similar things as Jupiter, except ammonia and water have now become ices instead of gases because it's so cold. But yeah, you could live on its surface. It's just similar to Jupiter, except the gravity is not as intense. Also, there's some weird stuff going on at the poles. There's a hexagonal storm. It's like, what's going on there? Nobody knows. So that's something to investigate. But yeah, people might live on Saturn. What do you think? Would you want to live on Saturn?
No.
No.
Yeah, I'm quite
No.
happy where I am. I'm not gonna lie.
You're happy
Like,
where you are?
I got electricity.
Hey, man,
I got a
I mean,
computer.
Don't get me wrong. Saturn is no Chicago, but I feel like You know, I would.
All right. Would you rather live in? Would you ever live?
It's kind of like a.
Whoa!
Wait, what was he saying?
Wow.
What do you think?
We wow with. Yeah, today, Junior. What are you saying?
I started streaming at 1, dude. Give me a break.
Oh my gosh.
Would you rather live in Chicago or Saturn?
Saturn.
Obviously. But yeah, so Saturn.
I'd rather live on goddamn Io than Chicago.
Io. Goddamn Io. But
damn.
Saturn would be pretty nice and tranquil. It'll be the source of hydrogen for the entire Saturnian system. So Titan, Rhea, Iapetus, all these different moons will likely rely on Saturn's resources. But yeah, so in terms of like extra planetary exports, it'll probably be sparse because Jupiter has essentially cornered the market because Jupiter is closer to the inner system. So Saturn hydrogen just cannot compete. But
it's like American steel.
But some people say Saturn hydrogen is better than Jupiter hydrogen. It's a completely erroneous statement because they are literally identical. But
I feel like there could be some
people
truth
say it has
to
an
that.
added kick. People say it has an added kick.
Yeah.
Oh, they inhale?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, Saturnian hydrogen. Some people say it gives.
Did you
their
not
engines
inhale it
extra
like through
life.
middle school? That was like my entire life. What that was the culture.
No, okay.
In
I was
school.
saying extra kick in terms of your engines, like, you know, like a different fuel. That's
yeah, that's what I was talking about. What are you guys talking about?
Titan.
Inhaling it, that'd be crazy.
Why would you want to inhale hydrogen? That just sounds like one of the dumbest things you could do.
Yeah, I mean that's so stupid. Like, why would anyone ever do that? It's crazy.
Hydrogen has no, like, psycho whatever properties. It'll
Let me tell you.
It'll likely just
inhale enough of anything.
Ignite. It'll likely
like
just
whippets.
ignite in your lungs.
It is like whippets.
Is that
It's
that
like
what you want?
whippets, but it sets you on fire.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
We have chat.
Not a good idea to inhale anything.
We have chat, and I think
Okay.
I think Max got his.
No, I'll read it.
His funny.
Okay.
So funny, Max.
Oh, so funny, Max. from
We've
128
rounded
seconds.
out the
Thank you.
stream.
Barry Rudin says, Chicago has beautiful architecture, but it's too cold for me in winter.
And
the
summer.
rest of the year.
And
a
fall.
friendly city.
And autumn.
See, Sebastian, we
Yeah,
had undue criticism.
It is not
for
a
Chicago.
friendly city. I might have to contest that point. Friendly city.
Compared to New York.
Compared to New York, it is. New York is friendlier than Chicago, and I will
Yeah.
die saying that. Are you kidding me?
Okay. I guess I just haven't really
Yeah,
been.
you probably would die saying that in Chicago.
Yeah, I would, because of the gangs.
Actually, that's fair. Chicago is... It depends on what part of Chicago you're in.
Yeah, if you're in
I
the
will
north
say
part,
Chicago
it's pretty
can be
bad.
pretty-
Is
But
there a
if
good
you're in the
part?
south part, it's pretty bad. On the west end, it's
Yeah, the
pretty
south-
bad. But on the
Yeah.
east part, it's really bad.
Just don't go to Chicago.
And
That's,
in the
I guess,
middle,
lesson.
oh boy.
In the middle.
That's where
think
the
there's-
war of it. That's
I
where
think
the
there's
aura-
maybe a 10-foot sort of immunity beam around the bean where you
Yeah.
just cannot be injured.
Around the
rest
bean
of
is like
city
a small
PvP zone.
utopian like society.
Civilization around the bean.
And then everywhere else it's just, it's like, do you want deep dish pizza? No, I'd like food, please. That's why I go to restaurants.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go.
I've
to
also,
Titan.
it should also be noted that I have never gone to Chicago and I intend to keep it that way. Anyways,
All right.
Titan.
I don't think I've ever been to. Anyway, Titan.
A true achievement.
So, Titan's atmosphere is thicker than Earth's atmosphere. Can you
Achievement
believe that?
unlocked.
We found the nether in Chicago.
It's Chicago. Okay.
When we
Okay,
wrote this
so-
episode, I did not think we were going to be talking about
I did not
Chicago.
think we would talk about I
And you
regret
invited
bringing
me.
it up as a comparison to Io.
Why would you do that?
Because it's a fair comparison, I think, in terms of like industrial This is like early. This is earlier Chicago. This is
in terms of the air being 90% goddamn sulfur.
Yes, to be honest, yes. Haven't you read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair? That's what I was thinking of when I compared Io to Chicago. Okay.
I haven't read that.
Well, your
comparison is lost on me.
Oh, that's the book where he was like, that was the meatpacking industry.
Yes. It was about how industrial Chicago is. Well, it was also about communism, but it was, socialism. But it was also about Chicago. Okay. Anyway, so Io has lunar surface gravity.
Fire of Chicago is the best thing to ever happen to the U.S.
Oh my God. You cannot say that.
No comment.
You cannot say that. I guess it's been 22.3 years, so it is
Wait, that was that recent?
Well, it's more than 22.3. No, the joke is that, it's from South Park, is that you can only make a joke about a tragedy after 22.3 years have passed, otherwise it's too soon.
Those Bush jokes are going to be potent.
What was I don't even know what I'm... Okay.
The hell are we talking about?
Io has atmospheric pressure of 1.45 atmospheres. So it's got a very thick atmosphere. And that atmosphere is 98.4% nitrogen. Oh my God, I could drink that up. Nitrogen narcosis time. No.
So you're yelling at me for inhaling straight hydrogen.
I am just... Listen.
But you're
inhaling a little hydrogen never did anything.
Listen.
I'm listening.
That just made me incredibly happy when I saw that it was 98.4% nitrogen, because that is a great source for the inner solar system. The inner solar system needs nitrogen. Mars needs nitrogen, okay? I love Mars. You know I love Mars.
Really?
Its deficiency is in nitrogen.
Titan
right here. Nitrogen is abundant in Titan's atmosphere. It's pretty much just got a pure nitrogen atmosphere. So this is great. This is great news for Mars. So Titan and Mars might have a very close economic
Max, you have a
relationship.
Nitrogen problem.
I don't have a nitrogen problem.
You're an addict.
Well, a certain percentage of my body is nitrogen. Like 14%.
He's gone too far.
I thought the legal...
I'm not sure. I don't know the exact percentage of the human body.
13.
Wow.
Yours too, you guys, so...
Yeah,
I've never done it.
Don't think yourself...
You sound like you're deflecting.
Yeah, okay, whatever. So, nitrogen. Titan. Titan would be a nice place to be. So, its temperature...
Yes, go team.
Its temperature is negative 179.5 degrees Celsius, or 93.7 degrees, or not degrees, just Kelvin. Kelvin is not measured in degrees. I think Titan would be an amazing place for computing. I've said this before. Have a giant computer on Titan. Send all your processing up to Titan. You know, this is interesting because computers function best in cold environments. So cold environments are wonderful for computers, and Titan is a very cold environment, and it's got a huge voluminous and thick atmosphere that can
voluptuous.
That can disperse the heat generated by the computing process much more efficiently than the other moons we have been talking about. And it's also, it's cold. So it's just a great place for computers.
Did you know Microsoft made essentially a giant hill, but it was metal. Put a bunch of computers inside of it and put it at the bottom of the ocean for 10 years.
Just because
they're like, we want to... but they're like, we want to put our servers underwater.
So Saturn, and by proxy Titan, is about 80 light minutes from the sun. So if you are, some sort of scientist or even just companies that need massive computing power, and you have some sort of huge program that needs to be processed with immense processing power, you might just send it up to Titan, right? So you click the space bar or whatever, it takes an hour and a half to get to Titan, and then it begins churning in the giant giga complex of the Titan super hypercomputer, and it churns for a little while. 36 hours later, you've got your results. An hour and a half later, it gets to you back in the inner system. You've been charged, $100 million, and now you know what stocks you should buy, right?
Max just
Something
wants
like
to
that.
make his book a reality. He just wants to make the supercomputer
Exactly.
the airplane thing.
Yep. So Titan is going to be a very important place. It's a very, very unique moon compared to Callisto, Ganymede, Europa, and Io. You guys can have the whole Jovian system. I just want Titan. Okay, I'll have Titan.
Nah, I already got dibs.
All right, and so
it's gonna
Titan,
be like the single most violent conflict in known human history.
I need that nitrogen.
All right, I got 10 minutes.
You don't
apparently.
understand.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not making it through this one. I got 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man.
I just scrolled down.
Yeah, they're gonna start speeding up. We're just hitting all the notable ones.
Yeah. So Titan, I don't have much more to say about Titan. I think it'll be a very inhabited place. It'll probably be the capital of the Saturnian System. It's just going to be very cool, very impressive place, I think. I would like to visit Titan one day.
No one has better planners than me. Hey.
All right. What do you guys have anything else to add about Titan?
Titan is nothing compared to the sheer might of the Jovian System.
The Jovian. Wait. Another thing to add is that Titan has methane lakes. It has liquid methane lakes. So that's an interesting thing that might be there. Also, because of the low gravity and the thick atmosphere combined, you could probably fly if you had a wingsuit. You could probably fashion that, so you might get competitive sports on Titan that relate to, just flying, which would be pretty cool. Just human-powered flight. That would be pretty cool for the Space Olympics, Titan Olympics 2200. It would be pretty cool. So, yeah, that's Titan. Very nice place. So next we've got Rhea, and you're going to notice I don't know much about these places as we go out beyond Titan. Titan's the most important one. These other ones are whatever. But they'll be important. They'll all have their place, right? So let's see. Composition. So Rhea is, I don't know, it doesn't say. Well, okay, Rhea has a surface gravity of 0.264 meters per second squared, which is 2%, 3% of Earth's gravity. So you might need to set up cylindrical habitats. This place is barely able to maintain hydrostatic equilibrium. It's roughly, it's circular, gravitational rounding can just barely take effect here. It's a very small place. It has a radius of 760 kilometers. It's a tiny little moon here. But yeah, it's got to be very icy. Oh, here's something. It doesn't say its composition, but it does say its mean density, which is 1.236 grams per centimeter cubed. Now we're going to do some science like the astronomers do. Based on the density of Rhea, we can tell that it is mostly composed of ice of some kind. There is some rock involved, but it is very much icy because it has a density of 1.236 grams per centimeter cubed. And of course, the density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cubed. So Rhea will be a very icy place, and again, a good source of water for massive projects. However, the Jovian system has, got you covered for water. So it's likely not to be used as much, but it'll probably get some people staking claims just because. Yeah, say a couple of jokers, monopolize the entire Jovian system. Some sort of upstart might desire to get into the industry as well, and they
Sounds
might
like a great idea until their facility gets nuked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Because now we have an army powered by nothing but straight mineral marinated Europa be in water. I think we need a new adjective.
They land on Rhea and just instantly die.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The thing is, the minerals found in the waters of Europa will allow any man to rip a planet in half with his
It's like the phone book trick.
Like the phone book tricks.
Oh yeah.
We'll shred your planet as if it were a phone book.
Nice. All right, so that's Rhea.
Let's go. I just got an email about free money.
Cool.
See you nerds later.
Is it Nokia GameStop?
Okay. Let's go to Iapetus. So Iapetus is similar to Rhea in that it is mostly ice with a little bit of rock. However, something interesting about Iapetus specifically is that scientists theorize that it was made from two other moons just crashing into each other and becoming one. Because you'll notice you've got half of it is white and then the other half is like brown, like rocky colored. It's literally
Bro, that's grass. That's grass. That
two
is
moons
grass.
just crashed into each other. Can you believe that?
Snowy forest biome.
Snowy forest biome.
When you have a giant thing of dirt and you place down one grass block.
Yeah.
It's slowly spreading.
Yeah, so it would be interesting if Iapetus is actually made out of two different planets or moons. So yeah, here's the Wikipedia. Formation. Let's see what it says. So, as the young gas giants formed, they were surrounded by disks of material that gradually coalesced into moons. However, a proposed model on the formation of Titan suggests that Titan was instead formed in a series of giant impacts between pre-existing moons. Iapetus and Rhea are thought to have formed from part of the debris of these collisions. Oh, so this might actually be some Titan debris made from greatness, right? So Iapetus, great moon. High quality. Oh yeah, it's surface gravity. Let's check out its surface gravity just for the sake of 0.223 meters per second squared, which again is like 2% Earth gravity. You'll probably have to set up some cylindrical habitats here that rotate because this is too little gravity to support people. It would be a really interesting environment, honestly. I always like to imagine what like single-digit percentages of gravity would be, because everything would essentially float, except unlike in like, you know, space, eventually it would come down. It's just you wouldn't really have to think about it. It's sort of like you've got this slight like scrubbing of the air that, like, you know, you can just leave something, you don't have to worry about putting it away, you won't accidentally inhale it, it's just gonna, you know, eventually fall to the ground, but it'll take a while. Just very interesting. Imagine you can just run up a wall and then just stand on the ceiling for a while. That's like, that would be achievable here just because it's so little gravity. If we were to just deal with this 2% gravity, we would probably have to, like, it would be very interesting how we might do architecture. You would have to have things bolted down, everything, like your walls would need to have handrails on them so that you could, you know, move along the wall. Maybe you could make like Velcro shoes so that your shoes on the bottom have Velcro and the floor also has Velcro, or you could do something similar with magnets, something like that. But in all likelihood, the more economical option would be to, say, drill a hole into the surface of Iapetus, because, again, these places are primarily mining operations. So you drill a hole into the surface, you sell off all the ice as you were planning to do anyway, but now you have this convenient cylindrical hole in the ground that you can then, like, add a shell of a cylinder to, start spinning up that cylinder, and now you have a habitat that has roughly 1 Earth gravity, or less, because these people, these outer system colonists, might be from Mars, where they would be more accustomed to like a 40% gravity. But yeah, so that's what you could do with Iapetus. All right, next, Dione. It's like Diane, but spelled wrong. That's what I think of here, Dione.
Tell us about Dione.
Yeah, so Dione has a surface gravity of 0.232. So it's pretty much the same. All of these moons are about the same surface gravity. They have a ton of different radii, but what else? So this one, where is density? Oh, so this one has a higher density at 1.47 grams per cubic centimeter. So it has more rock in it, but again, it's mostly ice. All of this stuff out here is mostly ice. Yeah, it's just cold and icy. I think these are going to begin to get a little redundant because they're fairly similar when you get right down to it. But let's look at composition. Oh, it doesn't even have it. It's so unimportant. But yes, this is a spherical world. Basically, what we're covering here is every spherical world. So like the non-spherical ones are just in the others category, but Saturn just has a ton of these ice balls that may be residual from the formation of Titan, or may just be, they formed from accretion disks, and they're just around. And yeah, all of these different ice balls would likely be used for the same purpose, is for mining. Just mine out some ice. You'll also get some colonists, of course. You got to worry that you don't melt into the ground, and you got to make considerations about cylindrical habitats for gravity. Might be better. So next, we've got Tethys.
Give it up for Tethys!
Yeah, what do you think? You like Tethys?
I think it looks exactly the same.
Like it?
Looks familiar.
I think
it looks pretty similar. I've seen this one, but let's see. So Tethys has a even lower density at 0.984 grams per cubic centimeter. So it is likely the most icy one so far. It is incredibly ice.
I hate to
and
interject,
when I say,
but I must bid you farewell. If you guys are still going when I am done with Din Din, I will rejoin the call, but that is an unlikely outcome.
Okay.
I wish you all the bestest of streams.
Namaste, Uwe.
Seb, have fun reformatting the cameras on the OBS.
Wait, oh, no! No! What has he done? Funny. Max, there's two of you.
Yay.
You're split in between dimensions.
I am cross-dimensional. But Tethys...
Oh my god. On-stream editing.
Yep. So Tethys has even lower surface gravity, so this just reiterates the need for some nice cylindrical habitats, boreholes into the surface of Tethys. Oh, the large impact crater on Tethys, that one up top left, is called Odysseus.
Nice.
So that's nice, right?
Yeah.
You gotta love those references to Greek literature. But yeah, so this place has, again, all these moons, they have low escape velocity. I didn't mention that, but that's sort of a consequence of having low gravity. This moon has a escape velocity of 394 meters per second, which is like fast, but not that fast for orbital stuff, for a moon. So you can get something going fast enough and it'll just leave. It'll just vibe off the surface. Yeah, so Tethys, interesting place. What else do I have to say about it? Not much. Again, orbital infrastructure would likely be very easy here because it'll be easier than on the Galilean moons even, because you have space elevators could be constructed very easily on moons like these. And you would likely want a space elevator because you're going to be exporting so much material. Not as much as the Jovian system, but still probably a lot. And let's see if they have anything on composition. Oh, okay, so let's see. So Tethys is composed almost entirely of water ice. Yes, based on the density. So that is, I made a nice prediction there. But yeah, it's just pure water ice, interestingly, which when we talk about ice out here, ammonia is also part of that. Eventually, methane is also part of that. So you've got a ton of different things that are considered ice. But for Tethys, it seems that it is actually mostly water ice, which is pretty cool. Next, we've got Enceladus.
Enchiladas.
Enceladus is really nice. It's got a nice color scheme. It's like white and blue. It just looks like winter incarnate, which is great. How is it spelled? I need to get the Wikipedia page. Enceladus. Okay. So, I think Enceladus is a bit larger than the other moons that we're talking about right now. Let's see. It has, has even less gravity, about 1% the gravity of Earth. So that's interesting. But the surface, look at that surface. It is smooth and covered in ice.
Yeah, I like that stuff where it's got all the lines.
That sort of aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
It really doesn't have much of an atmosphere. However, it's just got such low gravity. So it's got 1% gravity. So imagine a figure skating competition on the surface of Enceladus. What do you think? Just free skating, people just launching themselves into the air. You know, they'd have to be in spacesuits, of course, but then they can go like hundreds of feet into the air and like do like
fun. Yeah.
100 backflips or something, and then come back to the surface. Like, I think it would be a very cool place to ice skate around. I like ice skating. Don't get to do it that much anymore now that I'm in Florida. And I didn't really do it that much when I was up in Connecticut. I should have done it more. But I think it's very idyllic. It's an idyllic scene to ice skate on Enceladus. But yeah, you can plainly see just all the ice that composes the surface here. But yeah, let's see. So they are comparing the composition of Enceladus to the composition of comets. They say it's pretty similar, but oh yes, and so this is interesting. We've actually been able to get some direct measurements of the Enceladus composition because Enceladus has plumes on it, and one of our space probes passed through the plumes and collected the samples and was able to determine the composition, which is pretty cool. The Cassini spacecraft flew through the southern plumes on several occasions. Isn't that just awesome?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty awesome. And so this indicates that Enceladus has a salty subsurface ocean. So that should make you happy, Sebastian.
It does.
It does.
It really does.
You can slurp up that Enceladus water.
Dude, I am so ready for all this DLC water. Like,
yeah, I know.
I've been drinking straight Earth
water. Just Earth water.
Yeah.
Earth water, Earth water, Earth water. Just, it's like, I can't get a break, you know. But the salty plumes they showed traces of sodium, of chlorine, and of CO3, which is an ion. It's like carbonate, I think, it's what it's called, if I remember anything from chemistry. So the carbonate ion. So this is carbonated water. It's like seltzer. You like seltzer, right? You have like 8 bottles of seltzer or something in your room, according to Brendan. So you should like Enceladus. You've just got seltzer underneath the surface.
Yes, my seltzer
which
line.
Is pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, that's about all for Enceladus. I don't have much more to say about it. Do you have anything?
That's it.
Again, a lot of the same thing applies to Enceladus as we were saying for the last few moons because they are very similar. But yeah, so now let's go to the last one, Mimas.
That's no moon.
That's no moon. Mimas is the smallest moon that is hydrostatically rounded, I'm pretty sure. So that's pretty cool. It's got a surface gravity
like the Death Star.
Yes, it looks like the Death Star. It's got a surface gravity of 6.4 centimeters per second squared.
Oh my god.
Or about 0.6% of Earth's gravity. This is a tiny, tiny world. Its mean radius is about 200 kilometers. That is compact. I love this
how
place.
High
it's
could
beautiful.
you jump?
Okay, so if you can jump 1 foot into the air on Earth, then you can jump 150 feet on Mimas.
Jeez.
That's like, it's crazy. It's got an escape velocity of 159 meters per second. Let me convert that to hamburgers per Walmart. 159. 159. That is about 355 miles an hour. So that is pretty fast, but like I think some of those experimental cars we have could get up to that speed and just escape the planet, just casually vibe off the surface of Mimas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's got a similar density, 1.15 grams per cubic centimeter. So it's pretty icy, but it's also got some rock in it, probably, just based on that density. And yeah, so it's composed mostly of water ice, only a small amount of rock. And due to tidal forces acting on it, Mimas is noticeably prolate. Whatever the hell that means. It's a spheroid or an ellipsoid of Rebel. But yeah, so I think it's pretty close to Saturn. Let's see. Distance from Saturn, orbital characteristics. Yeah, it's pretty close to Saturn. It's got an orbital period of about a day. So it goes around Saturn and whizzes around once a day. It's a pretty cool place. I would want to visit Mimas, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to stand on the central peak of that crater. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, it looks like the Death Star, which is interesting because Mimas, it was discovered a while ago, but they didn't get like proper imaging of it, like up close, until 4 years after Star Wars came out. So everyone was like, oh, look at this. Isn't this hilarious? And because we all know the NASA people are all geeks. So they were probably having such a fun time with that. But yeah, I mean, before then, Mimas was just a smudge because we were just using Earth-based telescopes, so we didn't really see much. But yeah, that's Mimas.
Like it.
All right, so others. And you got a license for those kneecaps?
You got a license for those kneecaps.
Yeah, each of these others, they look like a gang of some sort. The first one looked like just like an American, you know, like thug gang, right? Like they're like cool guys. Here they look like a British gang. So that's what they are represented as. So these are just a ton of icy asteroids, icy rock, you know, just out there vibing. They'll be great sources of water, and that's about all I can say. A lot of the outer system is just an abundant amount of volatile substances that are not present in the inner system at similar quantities. So a lot of the outer system is going to have to be exported into the inner system. So that's what is likely going to become of these places. Because again, also they have very small gravity wells, which makes it easier to just collect materials from them. But yeah, all right, that's about it. So next, Uranian System. What do you think about this place, Sebastian?
Yeah.
Uranian.
I mean, I've been saying it. Uranus is one of the most underrated planets, to be honest. Like, no one pays it any mind. No one sees it as anything more than a
they just laugh
joke.
at its name.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at Uranus. Like, I mean, yes, it has a Beretta cigarette because it is of the Copter. But if you just look at the actual color of it, it's a very nice shade. I like it. It's
a very nice, like, cyan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Uranus, the Uranian System, is 20 astronomical units from the sun. That's another doubling. So this is getting very remote. And compared to, you know, Jupiter-dominated industry, Saturn had some industry, there's probably not going to be that much industry from Uranus. It's just too far out, too inconvenient. There's just no reason to really venture this far out to bring stuff back into the inner system. So a lot of what goes on in the Uranian system, the resources are going to stay put. So this is just a lot of internal trade. So the composition of Uranus is, again, a lot of hydrogen, except it's about 83% hydrogen, which is less than Jupiter and Saturn were. Then it's 15% helium, 2.3% methane, and then you've got hydrogen deuteride and hydrogen sulfide. So you're getting a higher proportion of ices. Uranus and Neptune are actually called ice giants. Like some refer, there's the gas giants would be Saturn and Jupiter, but then Uranus and Neptune are sometimes called the ice giants because they have a lot of ices in them. But they also have enough hydrogen to supply the moons and anyone living around here with a good source of energy if there is nuclear fusion. And again, if not, they'll have to rely on some power stations in the inner system that beam energy out to the outer system. And when it comes to surface gravity, Uranus has a surface gravity of 8.69 meters a second squared, which is 88% of Earth's gravity. So it's actually less than Earth gravity. Isn't that nice? That's like, it's kind of getting a little bit into the zone you're talking about, the 3/4 zone, but not quite. 88%. It's like a 7/8 zone. But yeah, it's a pretty nice place. I think it's the methane and ammonia in the atmosphere that gives it that just solid color.
You gotta love it, man.
Gotta love it. Nice place. Oh, also it's weird because it rotates on its side. That's a weird one. You know that fact? So it's on its side. It just is. Nothing you can do about that. But it means that you'd have pretty intense seasonal variations, and you'd have to deal with that. You'd have to make sure that you have a good orbital infrastructure in place so that people on the dark side of Uranus, that's going to be dark for like 20 years or something, can have access to energy. Of course, again, if you have nuclear fusion, then you don't need to worry about that because you're right there. But yeah, that's Uranus. People might live on it, similar to Saturn. It wouldn't be as heavy in industry because Uranus and Neptune are going to be largely self-serving. So people aren't going to be going out to Uranus and Neptune for the sake of getting rich. You know what I mean? It's not going to be for the sake of like getting resources and selling them back to the inner system. Like Jupiter and even Saturn are going to have aspects of that in their economy. Uranus and Neptune are going to be more like just westward expansion was in the United States. Just sort of like, there's free land out there, we might as well use it for opportunity, but they're not expecting to get rich. So it's not like a California gold rush of 1849, right? That's more akin to Jovian and Saturnian systems, would be more like the California gold rush. But Uranus and Neptune would be more similar to just the slower crawl of like the Sooner State and the Morrill Land Grants Act and the Dawes. I don't remember. This is AP US history stuff. I'm just trying to. But late 1800s, just sort of like people going to Kansas and Nebraska just because they're like, oh, I am a nobody here in New York City. I'm going to head out west and like make a life for myself. So that is what these systems are all about. So that's Uranus. Let's go to the next one, Titania. So let's see, what are the facts about the moon Titania? Oh, no, this is wrong Wikipedia page. It's about, it's about the goddess Titania. Here we go, Titania moon. Okay. So Titania has a surface gravity of 0.379 meters a second squared. So Uranus doesn't really have any major moons compared to the other, you had the 4 Galilean moons had lunar-esque gravity, and Saturn had 1 moon, Titan, that had lunar-esque gravity. But all of Uranus's moons, as far as I'm aware, are going to be similar to the latter Saturnian moons. They're just like a few % of Earth gravity and then just mostly composed of ice. So the mean density of Titania is 1.7 grams per cubic centimeter. That's interesting, actually. That means it has more rock in it. More rock comparatively to what we've been talking about before. So let's see. Composition and internal structure. So it is the largest and most massive Uranian moon. So there's your answer right there. 3% Earth gravity. It's a tiny place. Uranus doesn't really have any major moons. So it has it's much higher than the typical density of Saturn's satellites, as I said. I like that I'm predicting things here that it then mentions. So this indicates that it consists of roughly equal proportions of water, ice, and dense non-ice components, which could be rock, carbonaceous material, or organic compounds. So there you go. So you've got water, ice, and then you've got some heavier stuff in there that might be interesting. But in terms of colonization, it's likely just going to be setting up cylinders or not if you are fine with the lower gravity. Although your bones will not be fine with the lower gravity, but if you don't care about your bones, then fine. But it'll just be a remote world, more of a fending for itself type of thing. You've got water on site. You've got energy on site in terms of the, gas giant, ice giant below you. So you've got water, you've got energy. All you need is a little dirt, and then you have your own little ecology, and you're able to eke out a nice life on Titania. And you'd have an interesting sky. Out here, as the solar system gets more developed, it'll start to sort of fog up the sky. That's something interesting. Astronomers were complaining about the Starlink satellites because they were like interrupting the sky, just being like sort of obnoxious, but that's going to continue to happen as we develop more orbital infrastructure. And the inner system is going to be very, very packed, but the outer system will be much emptier. And so actually Uranus might be a good place to put a telescope at one point, just because you get out of the way from all the noise of the inner system. So you could get a deep space telescope. And since these moons have such low gravity, you can build incredibly massive telescopes, just find a big crater. Craters are roughly parabolic shaped, buff out the edges, and then bam, you've got yourself a nice telescope.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, next we've got Oberon.
Cool name.
Yeah. Oh, all these names are based on Shakespeare or Alexander Pope, by the way. So, yeah, again, it's got what's the surface gravity? 0.346 meters a second squared, so very low, 3% of Earth's gravity. And again, it's got a higher density, so this is interesting. These moons, 1.63 grams per cubic centimeter, these Uranian moons seem to have a higher density than the Saturnian moons did, other than Titan. Titan was denser than these, I believe. So, let's see. Yeah, so it's denser. Same sort of thing as Titania then. It's just got probably a rocky core. It's got some carbonaceous things. And yeah. Oh, this is interesting. They say Oberon might possess an ocean layer if it's got ammonia in the ice, because I think ammonia, relative to all the other stuff here, ammonia has a higher melting point. So, or a lower melting point, sorry. Because you've got mostly water ice, so the water is freezing, but if you have a lot of ammonia mixed in with that water ice, then it'll be liquid. So you might have a liquid ocean here. Do you want to slurp up the ammonia water? What do you think?
Yes.
Ammonia mixed with water. Ugh. I imagine I don't think that would be very, very good. I don't think that's healthy.
I think it'd be so good for my pre-workout. My pre-workout shake.
Ugh. But the ammonia could be used as fertilizer, so Oberon might sort of export fertilizer to the other Uranian moons for all the farmers. So yeah. Next, Ariel. God damn it, Ariel moon, for frick's sake.
Lines. It's got lines.
I should have thought about that. When I
Under the sea.
Okay. Yeah, under the sea.
But we don't want to get copyright claimed, so
yeah.
that song ends there.
If we sing off key enough, then you don't get copyright claimed. Yeah, so surface gravity is 0.269, so very little. And then you've got mean density of 1.5 grams per cubic centimeter. So again, rocky, but less rocky than the last two have been. So a lot more ice here. And just same thing applies. I don't really have much to say about these. It's getting to the point where they're sort of blurring together, I must say.
Honestly. But, moons are just moons, bro. That's it.
Yeah, moons are moons.
Umbriel.
Okay. Umbriel. Ariel and Umbriel. Umbriel is like...
Cool. It's the cooler version. I like it.
It sort of reminds me of like Michael and Pikel in like Rick and Morty. Like, oh, it's just another one. What do we name it? I don't know. Just name it Umbriel. But Umbriel, less dense, 1.39 grams per cubic centimeter. So even more water here. Just like more. It's just Kylo Ren. But yeah, all these places, you would just sort of want to sell up cylindrical colonies, use the hydrogen from Uranus to power, your whole life, and then also use the water ice to power your whole life. You also have to worry about not melting into the surface, so you gotta sort of get rid of the waste heat effectively so that you don't just sink into the ground. But other than that, that's Umbriel. So
nice.
Yeah. Next we've got Miranda, and you have the right to remain silent.
It's a cool looking planet. A planet, moon. Jesus.
Moon. Yeah. Spherical object. Let's see. Oh, it's got very low surface gravity, 0.079, similar to Mimas. So this is like a Mimas type place. What else about it? Mean density, 1.2, so it's, again, even more icy than rocky. Yeah. Small, 235 kilometer radius, tiny little place.
You gotta love it.
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
That's it. That's Miranda.
Others.
So the others here will be good sources of water ice, but not only water ice. You've also got likely ammonia ice in there and methane ice. So you've got all these volatiles, some hydrocarbons possibly, and these more rare volatiles, the methane and the ammonia, there was plenty of methane in Jupiter and Saturn. I think plenty of ammonia too, but that could be a potential export, a very minor export, again, because these places aren't going to be exporting much. Their main export is going to be likely just information. So someone writes a book. They're like, I look out my window. There is just ice. That is all there is. And that's the book. And people buy it. That's it. But that's the thing. Is that a lot of these outer worlds, as you get farther and farther away, trade becomes less practical because it takes so much energy. So eventually you're likely to get an economy that's more based on information trade. So you might have a few research labs dotted around the Uranian system, and they would work on trying to develop new technologies so that they could trade those new technologies, sell those patents back to the inner system in exchange for the inner system's patents sold back, so a big sort of trading operation. That would be your main source of trade, just information. So patents, entertainment, technology, that sort of thing. But that's it. So next, Neptunian System.
Neptune, named after god of the oceans, stirring up the sea,
look at that.
The storm.
Look at that. It's
that.
all blue. It's a deep blue.
And it's got a top hat. What kind of voice does this guy have?
I imagine it's like also British.
British, but a little more posh, because the monocle guys are like, you got a license for those kneecaps. This guy's
I imagine actually this one's a bit more Irish. That's what I imagine.
A little more Irish.
A little more Irish, yeah.
I forget what we put at the end of this, but I'll try and say it in a British Irish accent.
Yeah. All right. So, because we have bowler hats, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a top hat, but the moon's got bowler hats.
Right. So Neptune is 30 astronomical units out, very far away. Trade not practical with the inner system, except something about Neptune is that it might eventually. There's always a next frontier. You've got the Kuiper Belt, the Oort cloud, and of course interstellar space. So Neptune could be the gateway to interstellar space. What do you think about that? That would be nice.
That might be Neptune's sort of trade, but at first it's going to be on the fringes of society. But eventually it might be a massive hub. It might be a sort of like send-off station where it's like, you know, it's like everyone, like if you want to go to Hawaii, for instance, first you fly to LAX and then you go to Hawaii, right? That might be Neptune. You want to go to Alpha Centauri, everyone goes to Neptune first, then they head off to Alpha Centauri. Of course, it just really is about what stars are in that direction, because it's just as likely Neptune could be on the opposite side of the sun. But I like to imagine it as the sort of outer world, like send-off place. So let's look at their surface gravity. Surface gravity is 1.14 G. So it'll be a little like, a little heavy. Yeah. You'll really feel that birthday cake, you know. But yeah, 80% hydrogen and 19% helium. So this is interesting. This is a much more helium-rich world. It's also got some methane, some hydrogen deuteride, and some ethane. And then ammonia, water, ammonium hydrosulfide, and methane ice. So you've got these different things. What else about it? Yeah, again, it's just the hydrogen will be used to fuel nuclear fusion locally if that is viable. Also, again, if it is a last stop for interstellar travel, it could be used, you know, the hydrogen fuel for the trip could be mined in Neptune. You know, you could, because interstellar travel could either run on it could run on any sort of fuel source, and nuclear fusion could be one of them. And so if you mine hydrogen from Neptune to supply the interstellar ships, that might be an industry for Neptune. Of course, it's just as likely any of the other gas giants could do that. It's just what direction you happen to be going in. So, yeah, what else about Neptune? That's it. Neptune doesn't have many major moons. So let's go to the one major moon of Neptune, and that is Triton. Triton is the big boss of the Neptunian system. It is likely a captured dwarf planet because it is in a retrograde orbit. It's going the wrong way. It's the wrong side of the road in it. It's like a British person in America on the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're going the wrong way. So Triton has a surface gravity of 7 to 8% of Earth's gravity, which is comparatively a lot higher than the other ones we were just discussing. So the Galileans and Titan were pretty similar to the moon at about 15%, all around there. Triton is this sort of way station. It's at 8%, which is much more than the 2 and 3% gravity worlds we had before, but much less than the lunar type situations. And in my sort of mythos, right, in my book, 10% is essentially the line where it just becomes completely impractical to operate in a gravitational field that is less than 10% Earth gravity. And at that point, you would set up cylinders to get artificial gravity. But, you know, people might live on the moon fairly comfortably just without setting up artificial gravity. You know what I mean? People might live with normal lunar gravity. But once you get down to Triton gravity, 8%, that is probably too low to like reasonably function. So you would want your own little cylinders for artificial gravity. But yeah, so Triton, what else about Triton? Oh yes, let's look at its density. So Triton has a density of 2 grams per cubic centimeter. So that is fairly dense, comparatively. Oh, this is interesting. It has a composition similar to Pluto. And this just reiterates that it is likely a captured Kuiper Belt object. So it is 15 to 35% water ice. So, which is less than what we've been talking about before. We've been talking about these ice balls. And here, Triton comes waltzing on in with this high density, so it's got some more rock in it, which would also be useful for, say you want to build interstellar ships on location, but also just in general for the outer system to get some rocky materials would be useful. Let's see. What else? What else about it? But yeah, just a lot of water, maybe some hydrocarbons, some ammonia, all that good stuff. But yeah, that's it. That's Triton. Pretty cool place.
Others.
Finally,
tough guy finger snapping.
Tough guy finger snapping. They're coming for you.
They're coming.
So, yeah, these, again, similar to Uranus, you've got ice, water ice, methane, ammonia, just different sort of things that you could use to fuel interstellar ships. Because interstellar ships, depending on how far away they're going and how long it'll take them to get there, they might need to be very massive and contain their own, like, mini ecosystems. So it would be very useful to supply them with water for the journey, like a lot of water. But yeah, maybe actually, this is interesting. These smaller moons could be converted into interstellar ships themselves. What do you think about that for a long haul journey? So you hollow out one of these asteroids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you maybe you bring in some hydrogen from Neptune, but really you don't need it because water and ammonia are largely made of hydrogen. So you have this big ice ball, and maybe this could be used for the first intergalactic voyage. What do you think? So you take, I think one of them is called Nereid, right? You take Nereid, you accelerate it in the direction of Andromeda, and then you just let it go. 1 million people hop on. They're like, I want to go to Andromeda. I want to see what's up over there. And then, 10 million years later, they arrive, and they've used up all of Nereid, but they're fine now because they are in Andromeda. They're in the Andromeda galaxy, and they have new worlds to conquer. So that would be very interesting. Because basically, the longer a trip you're going to take, right, the more snacks you want to bring with you. Like if you're on a road trip, if you're just going an hour, that's barely even a trip. You're like, I don't need anything. But if you're going 4 hours, you might want to bring a few bags of Takis, right? But if you're going cross country, you're going to need a whole suitcase full of snacks, unless you're going to refuel along the way. So that is the principle here. You might just take one of these moons, accelerate them up to intergalactic speeds, and people will just hop on and venture out there. So yeah.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
We've met our neighbors. We've met the people in our community a little farther away. And I think, all this, there's more to come. All this talk of living on all these different planets, all these different moons, colonization stuff, makes me pretty happy that I was able to be born on Earth, so that I'll get to be among the first, hopefully, to venture out past the bounds of our planet to plant myself in another world.
Yeah, it'll be pretty cool. Elon Musk says he wants 1 million people on Mars by 2050. What do you think?
Yes.
Want to be one of those million?
Yeah, I'll be 46.
46.
Oh my God. Can you imagine me at 46?
Oh yeah, in 2050 we'll be 46 years old.
That's horrible.
That's horrible, yeah. I don't want to be 46.
I don't want to be 46.
Too old.
It's too old.
Too old. too old. Logan's Run, 30. That's it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's kind of esoteric. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no one really knows that movie. It's not very popular. I'm not sure anyone in the audience knows, but it's like anyway, I don't need to explain the plot of Logan's Run. It doesn't need to be explained. It's not worth your time. So
anywho,
the outer system is going to be a very good resource for all the volatiles we need. The Jovian system is going to be a big source of the volatiles that are going to be used to terraform the inner system. It's going to be a very industrial place. And then Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are going to be calmer, more like pastoral, just like out there sort of areas where humanity wants to establish a foothold everywhere. People want to stake their claim and try to like get successful out in the harsh wilderness of space. I think it's very, very honorable. And so, yeah, we got to use everything that's there. You know, you got to be efficient. So we got to venture to every single rock, every nook and cranny of the solar system. We don't want to waste anything, you know? So even Io should be colonized, right?
Even Io.
So yeah, that's the point of the outer solar system. The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton.
We will be able to use it. We'll be able to live there.
Yeah.
In the near future.
Exactly. So with that being said, I would like to thank Brendan for being here for the first part of the episode. Thank you for being our guest this week. I would like to thank